You download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Thank you for joining us this morning. Thank you for watching live on the Woodward Sports app and woodwardsports.com. Thank you to everybody in the Woodward Sports chat. Can't thank you enough for joining us this morning. I gotta say, it's been an interesting 24 hours. An interesting 24 hours. Jeff Iafrate joining me this morning. Jeff, what's up, buddy?
What up, though? Just standing real quick. A little hectic morning. Got to record the Woodward Pistons podcast, but I'm doing good.
Awesome.
I'm doing good.
Awesome. Well, you know what? Look, I want to go over a few things that happen around just sports in general before we get into Dan Campbell to start the show. Just to give you guys a quick rundown, Dan Campbell, we'll get to him in a little bit. His hilarious comments on how he was watching Monday Night Football.
Did see that.
8:30. Could the Lions actually make a legitimate push for a wild card spot in the NFC? Top of the hour, DeAndre Swift. 9:17, Chris Castellani will join us to talk some Detroit Tigers. So it should be a really good show. Ben Johnson in the offense, second hour as well. So I'm looking forward to it. So let's get it started. Around the league, Aaron Judge hit his 60th home run last night, by the way.
Jesus Christ.
Holy hell.
I think he has
that is short company, man.
Almost as many homers as our entire team, if not already.
He leads the league with 60.
Yeah.
The second closest guy has 40.
And what he's done hasn't been done in like 35 years.
He's in the Triple Crown race. The problem is Freddie Freeman's batting like 332 out in the NL. And he's sitting there batting 317, hitting 60 dingers. It's ridiculous. Aaron Judge has been phenomenal. But Dan Campbell, yesterday on Stoney and Jansen show on 97.1, calls in their routine on Tuesday, and they ask him, hey, what'd you see watching the game? And he's like, well, like most fans, I'm paraphrasing here.
And everyone expected
it's such a Dan Campbell response.
Yeah, everyone expected this normal answer.
Jeffy says basically, I was a few beers in, I was drunk, I was laying back on my couch, I fell asleep, and I woke up. I couldn't even read my notes. But now I'm here, I'm awake, I'm calling in, I took an aspirin, I'm good. Basically what he said.
He did not say that.
I wish I was joking.
Did he really?
Wish I was. No, that's legit.
He said he had a couple beers.
Yes, he was drunk. He said he was drunk. Yes. I mean, I can take it too seriously, but it's fucking hilarious either way.
Oh, I love Dan.
It's hilarious.
He's a great
It's freaking hilarious. I love it. Look, I got to say, that is who he is.
Yeah.
At this point.
What you see is what you get.
At least he's not fake.
Yeah. He's transparent. Very transparent.
Couple beers in.
Yeah, he said a couple beers in.
It's interesting because you watch, not Washington. You watch Minnesota play on Monday night. And a few takeaways I have that, we'll probably get into more detail on Friday. But just a few things that, if I were to just pull them away from Monday's game and say, hey, Jeff, here are 2 or 3 key things I think you can already attack if you're the Detroit Lions. You let me know if you'd agree.
Okay.
First being the Vikings' offensive line.
Not the best. I'll tell you that.
Not all that impressive.
No.
The pressure you put on Washington, you should be able to replicate in the game against Minnesota on the road, which would be a difficult game.
Right.
The offense, one of the highest scoring offenses in the league, 35.5 points a game at the moment. That somehow will need to travel, and I think it is. It is capable of traveling. The issue is, what has Minnesota done well through 2 games? That they haven't done at all, even last season, in terms of the defense.
They've been able to get to the quarterback a lot more.
They've been able to get to the quarterback.
Zadarius Smith was a home run.
And
signing.
that is something that will play a big factor. And the third and final point is, which playmakers are going to show up? Is it going to be DeAndre Swift that you saw against Washington? Fall on his ass, get up and take it to the house? Or are you going to see a contained version of DeAndre Swift? You go to the opposite side, Justin Jefferson. Are you going to see the Justin Jefferson from week 1 or the one that went up against Darius Slay in week 2?
And what Amani are you going to see? Because he struggled week 1 and against A.J. Brown.
Jeff Okudah has had 2 solid starts to the year.
You're hoping he continues that.
I think he's got to take that next step eventually. But so far so good, I think, is what you can say on Okudah.
Absolutely.
So those are the 3 key things I can pull away, at least from Monday night, and I think we'll have a big factor on Sunday.
I'm with you. I think this Sunday against the Vikings, the biggest thing for me is similar to what the game plan was for the Commanders. You got to get to Kirk Cousins for a lot of reasons. You saw what Philly was able to do. He's just like Carson. I mean, Mike talked about it. When you get to Carson, it's night and day. Versus a Carson Wentz with a clean pocket versus Carson Wentz under pressure. You saw what Carson was doing when the Lions were getting him under pressure. He's making mistakes. Kirk is similar to that. The only problem I have, and you mentioned it, is Justin Jefferson. Because that man can create space very quickly. If Kirk can get rid of the football, you're going to have a long day. But because, again, you saw Carson down the stretch, especially in the second half, be able to, whether it was Jahan Dotson, Curtis Samuel, Terry McLaurin, everyone was making plays. So the secondary is going to be very important this week. But like you said, Adam, it's about pressuring the quarterback. And the good thing is you're not facing the Eagles' O-line. So that's what they got going for them. But offensively, starts with running the football. And that's the obvious thing. I mean, we say that every single week. You got to be able to run the football. In the first 2 weeks, they've been able to do it. But they got to do it again against the Vikings because they got a pass rush. You can't sit back in that pocket and expect to beat them. I mean, you got to be able to run the football and neutralize that pass rush. Because I don't think Minnesota has – out of the 3 teams they face, it's not like they have this magnificent secondary. I think the Eagles still have the best secondary out of all these teams, the first 3 games. But the Vikings got a pass rush, and that's what you got to be concerned about. I mean, no doubt about it.
It's funny. After week 1, if I would have told you, hey, your projections for the Minnesota game, you would have said,
oh, it's an ass whooping. Yeah.
It's a tough out. I would have asked you Tuesday. You'd be like, oh.
I feel a little better.
I feel a little better about the matchup.
Offensively, definitely.
This is your classic, how well is your offense going to travel? Because for as many positives as we can take away from the offense, their ability to score, run the football, 7.2 yards a carry right now,
like that's just
which I believe is tops in the NFL. Fourth in total yards, 3rd in total rushing yards per game. They're flying at the moment, but now you got to do that on the road. Why? You're giving up the most points, or the second most points, I believe, in the NFL right now.
Mm-hmm.
Your defense still giving up 32 a game. Minnesota scores 32. How confident are you in winning that game? If any team scores 32 on you, how confident are you in winning that game? Even with the offense that we both agree
First
has
2
been
weeks.
Excellent. Defense has to clean it up. You saw what they did in the first half against Washington, and it really just made sense. They were getting after the quarterback. They weren't giving Wentz time. Terry McLaurin, who was basically irrelevant against Jacksonville, I told you going into the game, he should be irrelevant for most of the game, and he was, especially in that first half. Second half, they come out, make some adjustments, and they start really having their way with the defense.
Right.
But what was the difference? The offense started answering. The offense didn't just sit back 3 and out after 3 and out after 3 and out. And that was the key difference.
Another thing that the Lions have to do very well is you saw the Eagles week 1. You saw the difference. You faced the Eagles week 1. They're running the ball all over you. Then you face the Commanders, and what happens? They actually slow down the run. And Antonio Gibson didn't have a very good game. I have him, I know, in fantasy. But the thing is, going into this week against Minnesota, is how do they look against Dalvin Cook? How do those guys in the middle, Bugs, whether it's Aleem McNeil, Aiden Hutchinson now playing the run. We'll see if John Kaminsky can get healthy. But that's the thing I'm going to be looking at, and Julian Okora as well, is being able to stop the run, because the Eagles were really good at that this week against the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, they held Dalvin Cook for they only gave him the ball 6 times because they gave up and they were passing the ball the rest of the game. You don't want to have Kirk Cousins with a run game and those weapons. So that's going to be what I'm paying attention to, is what do we get defensively? Week 1 defending the run, or week 2 defending the run?
Well, Dalvin Cook has had a slow start to the season.
He has.
And what I would say is he has always performed against the Detroit Lions.
Oh, yes, he has.
The Lions have given up the sixth most passing yards in the NFL so far as a defense, and they've given up the 7th most rushing yards as a defense at 304 yards total on 60 carries. 5 yards a carry they're giving up. 5 yards a carry. They're going to have to clean it up. 5 rushing touchdowns. This is a problem. And do I believe they have a defense that can stop the run? They haven't proven it yet. And I don't think the Minnesota sample size we got was anything legitimate, because Antonio Gibson and that offensive line really aren't causing much problems.
Right.
It was Curtis Samuel. It was Terry McLaurin going into that game. It was even game 1, Antonio Gibson out of the backfield catching balls. That was a problem for Jacksonville. So week 1 against Philly, the Lions didn't look good in run defense. Week 2, different scenario. Week 3 now, this is a huge test. Can your run defense match up? Like I said, 6th most yards in the NFL given up through the air, 7th most on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a recipe for success.
And it'll be the first time so far through these first 3 games that the crowd is rooting against you. So we'll see. It's going to be loud down there in Minnesota. So they're going to have to face some adversity, but it's a good test for them. I think this is what you want to see. Divisional opponent. The entire division's 1-1. Let's see it. Let's see how they match up. They look good so far offensively, but defensively they got to clean some things up. Offensively, they left a lot of points out there, but it's what you want early in the season. I mean, you want an even matchup, and you want it to see where this Lions team is, because when we get into it, next topic about the wild card push and whether it's possible or not, it's a good test this week to do it.
Well, there's only one team in the NFL right now giving up more points per game than the Detroit Lions. It's the Arizona Cardinals. Lions giving up 32.5 points a game, Cardinals 33.5.
Yeah, you don't want to be in that company.
You can't be giving up 32.5 points a game. You just can't.
No.
That's going to make all the difference in the world in Minnesota. When we get back, what has Brad Holmes done so far in Detroit? We'll take a deep dive. Now that Scott Harris is the new GM of the Detroit Tigers, who, by the way, we'll chat with Chris Castellani on the second hour.
Scott Harris, man.
We got to go over the GMs now and what is being built in this town and why it's caused all this optimism. We'll get to that and more in just a bit, but before we do, Jeff, our good friends over at Cintron.
Yes, guys, Cintron is the official energy drink of the Red Wings. Cintron has combined all 3 of their flavors into a 6-pack sampler box. If you're watching on our woodwardsports.com website, you could see it. The Cintron 6-pack sampler box, you got the original, the cranberry, and the sugar-free. I love them all. They're all delicious. I honestly just grab whatever we have and I'll drink it. They're all very good. Pre-order your Cintron 6-pack sampler box today at cintronworld.com/Red Wings. Get energized with Cintron.
New to the game or a season better? OddsTrader.com has everything you need to make the right bet ahead of kickoff. Begin your handicapping journey with OddsTrader. Improve your edge by finding the best price on every game from sportsbooks in your backyard. Take advantage of the numerous sign-up bonus offers to pad your bankroll. Dive into key game statistics, player performance, and even account for the projected game day weather. Best of all, you can use the OddsTrader Bet Tracker to keep a log of your action. Welcome to OddsTrader, and best of luck.
Hi, I'm John from Better Rate Mortgage, and to me, family is more than blood. That's why I have the biggest family in Metro Detroit. If you're looking to buy a house or refinance and need a loan, come get treated better than family by me and our entire team here at Better Rate Mortgage. We pride ourselves on giving you better advice, better service, and a better loan experience. That's why we are Better Rate. If you're looking for a new mortgage, come get treated like family. Actually, better with Better Rate Mortgage. Visit us at mybetterrate.com or call at 248-480-4467 today.
Woodward Avenue, the first paved road in America. Woodward Sports, the first sports network born in Detroit and made for Detroit.
All right, Bedrock Detroit brings you the Monroe Street Midway, open till September 25th. You still have a few more days to go down and enjoy their art, festivities, live music, food trucks, free Wi-Fi so you can work from the park, and much, much more. The summer is better at the Monroe Street Midway. And we are back here on the Morning Woodward Show. Thank you for joining us this morning, everybody, in the Woodward Sports Chat. What has Brad Holmes accomplished so far, Jeff, is the question with the Detroit Lions.
I'm not going to sit here and say he's done a ton. He's probably the best general manager we've had in Detroit. The big question, he's checked off the draft question. I think he's found enough value, and you can argue that. This year, you got to wait on guys like Kirby Joseph, although I like Kirby. You found Malcolm, you found Aiden, and we have to see on Jameson. Chase Lucas, I mean, you could say this guy can draft. Last year, dating back to when he first walked in, his first draft class, boom, Penei Sewell, Aleem McNeil, Amon-Ra St. Brown. And you found some guys that are going to end up playing in Iffy. Derek Barnes has been kind of a disappointment to me, and Levi's got to get healthy. But overall, he can spot talent in the draft. My question is, and he's done it so far on a limited scale, but free agency. And seeing how he works in free agency, he signed DJ Chark to a 1-year, $10 million prove-it deal, which I liked a lot. It means that he understands. He's very aware, self-aware of where the Lions are. So I think he's going to be fine doing it. But I have to see more moves out of Brad for him to make, it's franchise changing. I think drafting Aiden Hutchinson and not messing that pickup is franchise changing. But you got to see more. I mean, the Lions are going to have tons of cap space this upcoming summer. I would love to see what he does with it. But overall, Adam, I think he's done a fantastic job. But in terms of what has he accomplished, you only accomplish, like, you look at guys like Les Snead, you look at the wins and losses, and so far it's not on paper, but it doesn't mean he hasn't done great things. I think he's done a really good job for what he's been given. He's turned this team completely around the last 2 years. He's pretty much he's got rid of a lot of the old Patricia guys, brought in his guys, but you got to wait and see. I think you got to give him a little more time to see what he can do, whether it's trading for a player in free agency, but overall to acquire more talent. But I don't really have a question about his ability to acquire talent. I just got to see it on a more bigger scale. So I think this upcoming offseason, you're going to see more of Brad Holmes being aggressive. But until then, I think it's hard to judge him over just 2 drafts because the Lions aren't really in a position to go out and do a ton.
I don't think it's difficult to judge him after 2 drafts.
I mean, he's done a damn good job. I mean, say he's one of the best general managers in the league or something like that. You just can't say that yet. Are you about to say that?
Look, let's just go back to year 1, okay? Drafts Penei Sewell, number 7 overall.
Which fantastic pick.
Follows up with 2 interior linemen, Levi Onwuzurike and Aleem McNeil, one in the second, one in the third round. Iffy has been a corner that looks promising but has never been able to see the field much. Amon-Ra St. Brown is arguably a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL right now.
Yeah, steal the draft.
Absolutely the steal of that draft. And you look at the wide receivers taken in that draft, if you were to redraft, he's easily the 2nd or 3rd, probably 3rd. I still think a lot of people would take Jalen Waddle. That's fine, we'll take St. Brown. But the reality is Chase, Waddle, and then it's St. Brown, no doubts. Not Devontae Smith, not anybody else in that class, in my opinion. Hell of a pick. 4th round pick, who already has over almost 1,100 yards in his short career.
Right.
And from that draft class, everybody except Iffy and Jamar Jefferson saw more than 16 games on the field so far. Then you go to this year's class, right? Aiden Hutchinson has so far played 2 games. Kirby Joseph has been involved in both games. Malcolm Rodriguez now is starting linebacker for your football team. Chase Lucas has been in moments. Those are 4 players that are giving you production on the field.
Right.
And I didn't even mention your 2nd round pick in Josh Pascal. And wait, oh God, did I forget? Let me make a phone call. Hey, did the Lions trade up in the 1st round and get a wide receiver at number 12? Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. There was still a wide receiver there.
Yep.
Who you would have the expectations of him being better than Amon-Ra St. Brown, given how explosive he was in college, coming out of Bama, being selected number 12 overall in the NFL draft.
Right.
You still have 2 players who have not seen the field that have very high upside. Josh Pascal led the SEC in defensive pass rush.
Tackles for loss, he was a monster.
Quarterback pressures, tackles for loss. The guy was an absolute unit at Kentucky. Jameson Williams, do I really need to go over the player he is? That's just in 2 drafts, Jeff.
No, I get it.
That's just 2 drafts. And when we talk about just any organization, and if you want to use the Rams as an example, be my guest. Any organization, you show me a 2-year window with that kind of talent, and I'll show you a successful franchise, a successful football team. The Rams have done it.
Mm-hmm.
The Patriots at times have done it.
Yeah.
The Steelers, the Ravens, the Chiefs. You just go around the league. Go look at all the good teams.
The Bills are starting to do it.
The Bills have been doing it.
Yeah.
You are stacking draft classes. And I'm not talking just about the star players, but players that will play a role on your football team. Kirby Joseph, I think, plays a role on this team. Chase Lucas, given the secondary's health, he may force his way into that rotation.
Mm-hmm.
Derek Barnes is rotating. Aleem McNeil, we think highly of. Penei Sewell, starting, we think he's all pro talent.
Absolutely.
Jameson Williams, I like to think he's going to have impact on this football team. Aiden Hutchinson, already 3 career sacks in 2 games.
Do you think being a, like, see, listen, I'm no question, we agree mutually. He's the best general manager we've seen in Detroit for the Lions. Do you think that's such a low bar that it's hard to evaluate guys? Like, it's our first time seeing a respectable, a proactive, a guy who's innovative in Brad Holmes, a guy who can spot talent in the draft. But since the bar's so low, like, do you think that has anything to do with it as well? Like, we've never seen a guy like Brad Holmes.
I don't believe so.
Because he's exceptional. It doesn't take it away from what Brad's doing. But to put him on this big pedestal.
Give me one of the teams right now in the NFL you admire their talent
Chargers.
on both the offensive and defensive side of the ball. You said the Chargers?
Chargers have been doing a good job drafting as well.
All right.
That would probably be my example.
Okay, you ready?
Let's do it.
I just went over the Lions' last 2 years of draft picks. Let's go over the last, let's say, 3 picks or 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Is that fair? Is that a good sample size? All right. I don't know why it's taking forever to show up. Here it is. All right. This past season, Zion Johnson, guard out of Boston College.
Out.
JT Woods, early for them. Really, this year's class, I'm going to kind of ignore because we're not in the day-to-day like we are with the Detroit Lions on the Chargers. But let's go to the last 2 years, 2021 and 2020. In 2021, they drafted Rashawn Slater. Pretty damn good if you ask me.
Yeah, excellent.
Asante Samuel, pretty damn good corner if you ask me in the second round. Josh Palmer's been a capable wide receiver. Trey McKitty, capable tight end, has seen action. Not the most explosive player, but he's on the field for you.
That's all that matters.
Nick Neiman has seen all 19 games that he's been part of for the Los Angeles Chargers. You go back the year prior, it's really just the first round pick. That's all you needed to hit on, and they hit on him, Justin Herbert.
Right.
But even then, you want to go back 2019. They followed up with Jerry Tillery, Drew Tranquil, their starting linebacker. That is production. Those are good players.
Mm-hmm.
Even the year prior, Derwin James, Justin Jackson, running back in the 7th round, Justin Jones, defensive tackle.
Yeah, Tom Telesco's a really good general manager.
But if I project 4 years out of Brad Holmes,
he's a great general manager.
Don't you think this is the trend you're going to see?
Absolutely. No, I'm with you. I'm not arguing your point.
So you stack draft classes. It is inevitable. It would take abysmal coaching decisions, coaching hires, individual mistakes to set back that football team.
Yeah.
We saw the Chargers miss the playoffs last year. Why? Questionable decisions from their coach, Brandon Staley. Even if I like him, questionable decisions.
And that was Telesco's hire, too. He brought in Brandon.
Right, and I look at the Lions now. They have stacked back-to-back draft classes where I can pick out 6 names. To be honest, without being biased, 7 that will start on this football team for the next 3 to 5 years. Aiden Hutchinson, Jameson Williams, Josh Pascal, Malcolm Rodriguez, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Aleem McNeil, Penei Sewell. And I'm not even including possibly James Mitchell getting action over the next few years, recovering from his injury. Chase Lucas, who we've seen really fight for his rotation spots with his team. Derek Barnes is still a rotating linebacker on this football team. Levi O, injury concerns, can't really help much there. Iffy, the same way. 2 draft classes. And by the way, in 2023, he has 2 more first-round picks. We can talk about Dan Campbell, Jared Goff, all we want. The guy's going to stack a 3rd draft class, and you're going to walk away and say, God, how'd he do it again? Jeff, we did the show last year before the draft. What was the conversation? And I think you brought up this exact point for the Chargers. It's like, show me, like, stack like the Chargers have been stacking for years.
Yeah.
The Lions are doing it.
They're doing
It's
it.
not they might do it. They could do it. Everything's going to change. Oh, my God.
Before Brad, it was
Before Brad, it was nothing.
Skeptical.
With
every
Brad
single year.
Holmes, Brad Holmes in his 2 draft classes has drafted more starters that are actually putting out like legitimate production on the field than I would say any GM in that short amount of time. Let's go back to what's his face? God, I'm forgetting his name. Bob Quinn's first draft. What was it? 2016.
Yeah, and he found some guys like Amani Warrior late.
Yeah, that was later
Kenny
on in his tenure.
Galladay.
But let's
overall-
go through his first 2 draft classes.
Okay, let's do it.
Taylor Decker in the first round. I would say, well done.
good
Well
pick.
done. Hit his first round pick. Ashawn Robinson. Didn't work out in Detroit.
Yeah, it didn't work out in Detroit.
Graham Gaslow. No. Miles Killebrew.
He didn't really work out.
Nobody outside of Taylor Decker worked out for the Lions in the 2016 class. 2017, Jared Davis. Ass Tabor. Nope. Kenny Galladay. Nope. Jamal Agnew. What? Jalen Reeves-Maben. Your first 2 draft classes to set the tone for your franchises. Your franchise. That's what you got.
Yeah.
That's the difference. He's going to come out and stack a draft class on another one and another one. And somewhere between this draft class upcoming and the next 2 or 3, you will likely see him make the decision on a quarterback. And if they are able somehow, some way to land their version of a Justin Herbert, a Josh Allen, a Patrick Mahomes, you are talking a decade of dominance for this football team. Because the talent's going to be there. I don't see anybody questioning the talent Brad Holmes is going to put together. I don't. This guy has stacked already 2 draft classes that have me immensely confident in him. And yes, can I change coaching? Yeah, I can. Can I change the quarterback? Yeah, I can. As a GM, I have that power. I have that ability. And who better to make those decisions than the guy who so far in 2 draft classes has brought you 7 starters, and if a few of them get healthy, it might be 9 or 10. And no, not just because how awful this football team was, but because these guys are much better than what you have on the field. They are actually better. They're good. They're quality players. You expect Kirby Joseph to give you good snaps. You expect, hell, even Derek Barnes in rotation to give you some good snaps. They're on the field. The guys he's drafting are on the field, and they're making plays. The fact that 4 out of the, 15, 16 picks he's had are already like
cornerstones.
Oh my God, corner franchise pieces.
Right.
Amon Ra, Penei Sewell, Aiden Hutchinson. And if you want to throw Malcolm in there, I think it's still too early. But the reality is you have a starting linebacker.
And
You didn't have another one outside of Anzalone going into the year. He got you one in the 6th round. That's at least something.
And there could be more. You just have to see more guys play. Kirby Joseph, you don't know about. Josh Pascal, you don't really know about. Jameson, you don't know about yet.
And what has Brad Holmes' tendency always been? I'm doubling down on what I need.
Yep.
Need interior help. Levi
Did it
Lee
back to
McNeil,
back.
right away. This year, I need edge rushers. If I don't get a pass rush, Jeff Okudah will never develop. Amani Warrior will never develop. My secondary will look like garbage. I need a pass rush. Aiden Hutchinson, Josh Pascal, first 2 rounds. Bang. You know why I need to take the top off of a defense? I like that Jameson Williams kid. Bring him into Detroit. Pair him with Amon-Ra St. Brown. DeAndre Swift in the backfield. Like the talent you are acquiring in Detroit. Please hear me. The talent you are acquiring in Detroit. 12, 16, 18 months from now, we may be talking about one of the most talented Detroit Lions rosters this franchise has ever fielded. And it will be young. It'll be up and coming. Insane to me. Insane.
It's a new era.
Speaking of the Lions, their roster, their development, you wanted to ask this question, so I'm going to put it on you. Could the Lions actually make a legitimate push for the wild card spot? And I would have laughed at this after week 1 if this question was posed in our talks. Before the season, I don't think I would have laughed at it because we both agreed 7, 8, 9 wins.
It was in the NFC.
And 8 wins in the NFC really is pushing for a wild card
Eagles
spot.
won 9 and made it last year.
So we're going to have that conversation in just about a minute or two. And when we get back, we'll get into that. But before we do, Jeff, the best defense on and off the field.
Yes, guys, because we talk about this Lions defense, and at times they're reliable, but at other times they're not reliable. But Guardian Alarm is always reliable. Let Guardian Alarm give you peace of mind while you are out still enjoying the sunshine right before the wintertime. Call 1-800-STAY-OUT, and you can rest easy knowing you have 24/7 protection. That's 1-800-STAY-OUT. Let them know your friends at Woodward Sports sent you.
Stay out.
Hi, my diamonds. It's Crystal with an X. You want to get hot and perfect like me? Here's my super easy routine. Drink at least a gallon of water before you wake up. Attach a weight to everything in your house. Sell your car and just sprint everywhere. Scream when you exhale.
Don't follow Crystal with an X. Do your own thing at Planet Fitness with tons of equipment and free fitness training in our clean and spacious clubs. Join now for just $10 a month and cancel anytime.
It's a great day to get some Centron in your life. Okay. There it is. Centron, here we go. Gotta grab the cranberry. Oh wait, it's 2 for $4. Gotta double up with the classic as well. Centron World, baby. Centron, available at select Krogers, and if you wanna know how, go to @CentronWorld.com. You get dope like me. You know what? Why wait? Great taste, guaranteed.
We are the network for Detroit by Detroiters. Welcome to the Woodward Sports Network.
All right, Swiss Insurance. Let me tell you about our new friends over at Swiss Insurance, with Mark. There is nothing better on game day than rocking at a tailgate. With all the fun comes responsibility too. Host liquor liability is an important coverage when hosting a high school, college, or professional tailgate. Let Mark at Swiss Insurance make sure you are protected so you can enjoy the big game.
Enjoy it.
All right, we're back here on the Morning Woodward Show, 8:33 on a beautiful Wednesday morning. The week it's really flying by. It's kind of bothering me. Like, I'm always excited for football. I don't mind tomorrow's Thursday night football, yada, 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 Saturday, Sunday. But I'm busy, man. The week is flying by.
I know.
Jesus.
I've been trying to, make time because there's no other sports on, for Tuesday and Wednesday.
Don't give me that BS.
Tuesday and listen, okay, Fish. I'm sorry I don't watch rugby, but Tuesdays and Wednesdays I do struggle, and I'll turn on some other things to watch.
What about baseball?
Fish, I had a conversation with my wife last night.
Watch some Tigers.
We had an honest conversation about you.
Okay.
She told me, honey, you gotta chill out on Fish.
Swear to God. She did?
Yeah,
No way.
Yeah.
No.
She sat me down. We were sitting down on the couch. I was prepping for the show.
Why do I not believe this?
No, this is a real conversation that we
Okay.
had. And she says, why are you so mean to Fish?
Does she even know who I am?
Yes, she does.
Oh, okay.
Of course she does.
She tells me, why are you so mean to Fish? I tell her, what do you mean? Like, I'm not mean to Fish. I love Fish. I love Fish more than anybody here. And she said, well, you're very mean to him. I'm like, well, he doesn't shut the hell up, honey.
Very correct.
So now I'm having to defend myself from my wife because of you. What are you doing? So I'm going to give you her number. You can call her and explain the situation, and we'll go from there. Deal?
Sure.
Okay.
I feel like Adam does not bully me.
Oh, God.
I love Adam. He loves me.
Oh, God. All right, Jeff.
Why
Can
do
the
I
Lions
sound like
make a
Siri
legitimate...
when I do that?
God. Can the Lions make a legitimate push for the playoffs? I'll let you open up on this one.
Yeah, I think they can. Especially, it's early in the season, and a lot of teams in the NFC are 1-1. So to definitively say they're going to make the playoffs, or at least be in that conversation, it is early. But with what I've seen out of this offense, that's an offense that can make the playoffs. There's no doubt. Anytime you're among the teams of the Bills or the Chiefs in terms of how many points you've scored so far through 2 games, I think you deserve to be in the conversation. The problem I have, and looking at all these teams that are 1-1, The one thing that stands out to me is defense, and the Lions have the worst defense out of all these teams that are currently 1-1 in the NFC. There are some teams you can probably make the argument for, just because you like the pieces on the Lions defense. But overall, that's my only concern moving forward is can this offense keep up at the rate they're going at? Because it is an incredible pace. I mean, to be on track both weeks, you score 30 plus, and you probably left points off on the board. You probably could have scored 40 each. That's the big thing that stands out to me, and that's probably why I would say, yes, they're going to be contending for the playoffs. I have them at 8 wins this season, 8-9. For 8-9, you should be at least in the conversation. But the one thing that worries me, Adam, is that defense and injuries as well. You got to stay healthy. That's the biggest thing, and that's not just the Lions. That's all teams in the NFC. But the fact that the NFC North is this wide open too, I mean, I didn't expect it to be this wide open this early. I know over time I had them third in the division with 8 wins. But the one thing that concerns me, Adam, is that defense. It really does. Because some of these teams also, I mean, you're facing, even in your own division, you probably have the 4th best defense. I think the Bears have a slightly better defense because they have better defensive players. The Vikings and the Packers have a better defense. That's probably the one thing that is concerning, but overall, offensively, no question. With that offense, Adam, they should be able to at least contend for the postseason.
Here's where I'm at, Jeff. Let's just talk about the NFC as a conference, okay? The NFC right now, I'm going to read off teams, and I want you to tell me if they are a legitimate, not only legitimate, but would you book them for the playoffs this year, yes or no, okay?
Okay, let's do it.
Atlanta Falcons.
No.
Carolina Panthers.
No.
Arizona Cardinals.
Yes, could contend.
Interesting.
Contend.
Bold. Oh, okay, you know what then? Let's clarify, because I don't want to confuse anybody. I'm going to list off these teams, all right? And we'll agree or disagree whether or not they are a playoff team or they will contend for the wild card spot, because there is a big distinction, right?
Gotcha. They're contend. They're not going to, I don't think.
All right, so Arizona will contend for a wild card. Dallas?
No.
No, okay.
I don't know.
Seattle?
No.
I agree. Washington? Will they contend for a wild card spot?
Maybe Washington and Dallas contend, but I don't think they either make it.
I'm going to give Dallas and Washington the benefit of the doubt.
Give them the contend.
Because where I'm going with it later, which I'll share with you.
Gotcha.
Chicago.
No.
All right. New Orleans.
Yes.
Wild card or playoffs?
Wild card.
Okay.
I don't know if they're
So now let's get into teams that I think we both agree are going to make the playoffs. Tampa?
Yeah.
Philly?
Yeah.
Minnesota?
Yeah.
Green Bay?
Yeah.
Los Angeles?
Yep.
The Niners?
Yeah.
All right, let's pick division winners right now. Hell, let's foresee the future. Right now, Tampa Bay's winning their division. Philly's winning their division.
Mm-hmm.
The Niners are winning their division. And I'm missing somebody. What's going on here? And the Vikings are winning their division. 4 division winners. There are 3 more playoff spots. That would currently go to the Giants, the Rams, and the Packers.
And I don't think the Giants hold up.
Can the Lions compete in the NFC with the Niners or the Rams for a wild card spot, yes or no? I'm going to say no because I think they win 10, 11 games.
Yeah.
Can they compete with the Packers or the Vikings for a wild card spot, yes or no?
No.
I think they win 10, 11 games, right?
Yeah.
So I want to draw a distinction here.
Right.
Because I think the Lions 7, 8 wins, we'll be talking about them as a wild card team in December. But it'll be for that 7th spot. I don't think the Lions are capable of getting 5 or 6 because I believe those will be double-digit wins. But the drop-off now, after we get through those teams, New York with the Giants, the Saints, the Commanders, the Cowboys, the Cardinals. Can the Lions sneak in the Saints? Can the Lions sneak in somewhere with those teams? And all those teams, to me, are teetering between 7 wins and 9 wins. And somewhere in the middle, I think, is where we're going to draw the line at the end of the year, where you are going to have 4 division winners, 2 10 or 11 win wildcard teams, and the 7th place team in the NFC, I believe this year, will be 8 and 9.
Yep.
So yes, I do think the Lions can make a push for the wild card because I think they can go 7 and 10. And that means they will be 1 game back of the wild card. Yes, I do think they can make a push, especially with that offense. But that defense will prevent them from legitimately, I would say comfortably, getting into the playoffs.
Right.
In December, you're going to see that NFC playoff picture bracket. And at the bottom, all the way on the far right, you're going to see the Lions part of that in the hunt group. can they make it to number 7? And that number 7 seed, I do believe, will be 8 and 9.
And I think the bigger picture to take away from it is that's what you want. I mean, that's what you want. You want to be in the hunt. That's the biggest thing I could take away from it, whether they make the playoffs or not, because you just went through the teams. For me, we talk about the deficiencies with their defense and the secondary, the linebackers, a lot of guys that are unproven. I like Malcolm Rodriguez. I like Jeff Okudah so far, but you're putting a lot of trust in those guys for the entire 17-game season to hold up. For me, just for them to be in this conversation, that at that point in time, to be in the hunt, to be in that graphic late in the season, is all I could ask for Dan Campbell. I mean, even if they just missed the playoffs, that's still to not only improve your win total, for guys to improve individually and to be in the playoff hunt, that's going to set them up for year 3. And now you're going to have even bigger expectations. So, again, given they stay healthy, that is everything we've been asking for, is it not? I mean, in your second year as a head coach, second year with Brad, I mean, that's a great thing.
No. We want to be fair here. You want to be fair. There's going to be weeks where you're going to criticize this team. You're going to be frustrated with their performance. You're not going to be happy with how they executed some of the decisions they've made.
Right.
But it is year 2. We all remember Schwartz: 3 wins, 6 wins, 10 wins. Now, I think this team is more than that, more than capable
of 7-8 wins,
of 7 or 8 this year. But regardless of the point, they continue to put out performances like this, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Which team in the NFL has one of the highest cap spaces available over the next few years?
Lions.
Is it far-fetched for me to say you can address multiple key positions in free agency on the defensive side of the ball and bring in veteran leadership?
Oh, you could sign a max contract and still have a little bit of change left over.
You can bring in multiple players on very good deals and still have money to work with.
Right.
This team is not far. And I'm going to throw it out so we can just revisit in a few years. They're not far away. I just gave you a list of 2 draft classes, Jeff. Were you not impressed by what Brad Holmes did?
I was.
Wait till you get that 3rd one. And then a free agency class. Watch out.
We're stacking and stacking.
For now, I think in the NFC, given its current state, I don't think the Saints are a 10-win team. If I go through, really, to be honest with you, Jeff, if I go through the entire NFC, and I'm honest,
there's only a handful of 10-win teams.
If you want to talk about teams that could be a wild card team that would have double-digit wins, I would put my money on Minnesota or the Packers, the Rams or the Niners.
I agree.
I wouldn't be comfortable saying Dallas would win 10 games. Not comfortable saying Arizona would win 10 games in that division. I don't think the Saints will win 10 games. Although they've looked pretty good on defense, I'm not a fan. Jameis Winston turns the ball over way too much. Rookie head coach. It doesn't seem like 10 wins for me. It just doesn't. They've scored 37 points. There are only a few teams in the NFL that have scored fewer points than the New Orleans Saints. So I'm not bought into the Saints being a 10-win team. Can they be a 7, 8, 9-win team? I'd lean more on the lower part of that bracket.
Yeah.
So, yes, I think 8 and 9 is a fair number, and I think it gets you in this year.
Before we go to break, I want to ask you quickly, and you don't
for it.
Just give me your opinion on it. Not saying it'll happen, but if they play the Vikings close or they beat the Vikings this week, how much does that change your expectations for the season? Not much?
No, it can't.
Because
if I told you...
Tied with the Packers.
If I told you that,
win.
and then I told you lose to Seattle, then what? I'm not going to sit here and change expectations every week.
No,
I'm not going to do it.
I like that. I agree with you.
I can't do that.
It's too early to be...
If they beat Minnesota,
completely sold.
I will be on this show Monday morning. I will be enjoying myself. Hell of a win. That was a statement game, in my opinion, this early on, to win a game you weren't supposed to. But then the conversation, again, we're always going to switch. This is the reality. This isn't even what is... this is just common sense here. I'm not going to go up and down on this team. You're going to kill a few decisions that are made. You're going to love a few decisions that are made. Hopefully they just continue like they did against Washington. That Washington performance, I want to see more of that team. Fundamentally sound. No penalties. No wild, egregious decisions that put your team back against the wall. Give me more of that. You beat the Vikings? Phenomenal. No one would be happier than me. Let's get to that when the time comes. 8:45 coming up in just a bit. Michigan football trending in the right direction. Jeff, are they undergoing a new era with Jim Harbaugh? I've got a theory on this.
Oh, I can't wait to hear it.
I want to run by you. You tell me I'm either spot on or I'm dead wrong. But before you do, you got to tell everybody where we're going to be actually on Friday.
Yes, we will. We'll be at Big Boy in Rochester, guys. And let me tell you this, I cannot wait because I'm going to be snacking on some Big Boy. And this is what you guys need to do, because for a limited time only, they got the all new burgers and loaded fries at Big Boy. It's not just the Slim Jim, it's the Big Jim. They got the chili cheese burger and also the bacon blue. How about upgrading those fries? The chili cheese fries, the baked potato fries, or the nacho fries. Satisfy those taste buds at Big Boy.
Fellas, let's be honest. We like things to be easy. We like simple stuff, like sports 7 days a week. We like things uncomplicated, like Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Open 10 to 8, 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Sign in, sit down, watch your favorite team play. And before you know it, your hair will be game ready. Open 10 to 8, 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. It's wicked awesome.
Life is full of hard choices. We're here to make one of life's biggest decisions as simple as possible. My name is Christina Gennari, and for over 20 years, I've helped hundreds of families buy and sell homes. We cover all of Metro Detroit and more, from large luxury homes to starter homes. We will work hard to make sure that you get the home of your dreams. So if you're in the market today or even thinking about buying or selling in the future, make the obvious choice. Christina Gennari, the obvious choice in real estate. Visit us at soldchristina.com today.
Get a shot up. This is for the win. All of Detroit's sports teams live on Woodward. All of Detroit's sports coverage lives on Woodward Sports. Driving the best in Detroit sports coverage.
Let me tell you about our friends at Chili Peppers Tanning. Because, guys, winter is coming up. That means you can't get outside and do it with the sun. So go to Chili Peppers Tanning. Get a tan. They'll beat all competitors. Plus, they got the best deals. They'll beat all competitors by $5. Chili Peppers has the hottest bulbs, the hottest deals, and the darkest tans. 26 locations and more on the way.
Chili Peppers Tan.
God bless you, Fish.
Tell
all right,
Fish.
we're back here on the Morning Woodward Show. Thank you to everybody joining us over at woodwardsports.com. Everybody chatting with the Woodward Sports chat. Well appreciated. Jeff, I got an interesting theory here. I want to run it by you. Call me crazy.
I'm eager to hear.
Call me crazy. The offensive talent we have seen, and again, Michigan have not played anybody where there is a litmus test here where I can say this team is ready.
Right.
But they are coming off a college football playoff appearance. They are young at quarterback. So is everybody else in the country, by the way. So was Bryce Young last year. So was CJ Stroud last year. Just in case everybody wants, throwing that out there. Michigan, in my opinion, are entering a not just program changing, but a generational type change for their university. You have an opportunity with what I think is a very talented offense. I think really it can go toe-to-toe with Ohio State. I really do. I think you run the ball better than Ohio State. I think Ohio State throws the ball better than you. I think you have every how do I want to phrase this? I think you have every legitimate case to make, or every point you could make to me that, hey, Michigan, Ronnie Bell, Andrell Anthony, Roman Wilson, Eric All, you can throw the ball too, Michigan, especially with JJ as your quarterback. And then Ohio State, on the flip side, say, well, we have Henderson in the backfield, and we got a decent offensive line
Marvin
this
Harrison,
year.
yeah, they got some. They got some
we
guys.
can run the football now.
Jackson Smith-Njigba.
I don't think the gap between Ohio State and Michigan, now that JJ is the quarterback, is here before, like it was before the season started.
I agree.
I really think it's so close.
I agree.
I think Ohio State gets the edge slightly, but you know what would absolutely shock and change the landscape of college football? Michigan winning the Big Ten this year. Not because you don't expect them to, not because you don't expect them to compete for it, but to beat Ohio State for a second consecutive year. beat that team, that talented team, for a Big Ten title again, Ryan Day likely loses his job. Ohio State falls into an abyss where you're not sure. They have all this talent, but is the next coaching hire going to be the right one? Or do they keep Ryan Day and they try to keep going after it? Either way, you have now established dominance in the Big Ten. 2 consecutive years of winning the Big Ten. 2 consecutive college football playoff appearances. Oh, and J.J. McCarthy will be your starting quarterback going into next year as well. And you want to talk about what it does for your recruiting? I don't even need to get started. Michigan this season, the defense looks good. The offense looks tremendous.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff, Michigan can become what we're all have been clamoring they could be or should be, or, you know, if only they recruited better. This all changes this year if they can win the Big Ten. I do think they can go to Columbus and at least fight against Ohio State and lose maybe close. But if they win in Columbus, how long has it been since Michigan's won in Columbus? You guys tell me. A decade? More than a decade, right? And what I really think about this football team is you are opening yourselves up for arguably, I can't even recall this important of a season. And it's coming off a season where you're Big Ten champions, right? You guys were phenomenal last year. Deservedly the Big Ten champions. And now the conversation becomes, Michigan's last win in Columbus was 2000. 22 years ago. You want to talk about establishing dominance, a change in direction, a passing of the baton? You run the table this year, you beat Ohio State. And I think you can do it.
Yeah.
And if you do it, watch out. I think legitimate national title contenders. I think a program that can be looked at like a Georgia has been over the last few years, right? Really good, but always comes up short. Last year you saw Michigan come up short. Talent wasn't there. Cade wasn't good enough to beat that kind of a defense. He wasn't mobile enough, wasn't dynamic enough. Michigan weren't ready for that defensive front.
Yeah, the entire team was not ready.
The whole team didn't show up, right? There's a talent gap. Georgia could never compete with Bama, but they could beat everybody else.
Right.
We've always seen Michigan get their ass kicked by Ohio State. They finally took care of business last year. You haven't won in Columbus since 2000. You beat them this year. You win the Big Ten. You guys can talk about Mel Tucker. You can talk about Ryan Day. You can talk about whoever the hell you want. Jim Harbaugh would have won back-to-back Big Ten championships. And there is not a doubt in my mind that every recruit in the country would turn their head and say, they're playing good defense, and now they're dynamic on offense. If I'm a running back, I want to be there. Now with J.J. McCarthy and future prospects, I want to be there as a wide receiver. Offensive linemen love going to Michigan. Defensive linemen love going to Michigan. Pass rushers love going to the Big Ten schools. You start really attracting talent. And I can't stress the importance of this because, Jeff, who's coming up right behind you right now that nobody is talking about? Who's number 7 in the country? And what number 7 team in the country will be joining the Big Ten soon?
Very soon.
USC. And they pull talent like they could. For USC to pull talent, it's just, those candy stores. You could just grab a bunch of candy.
Yeah, look what they did in the transfer portal.
It's that simple.
It's ridiculous.
With Lincoln Riley.
Yeah.
And if I'm Michigan, I really want you guys to think this through. The opportunity you have, we always talk about, it's going to be Ohio State, it's going to be USC. Why? You have an opportunity, I think, with this talented of a team to go to Columbus and win for the first time since 2000. And I think you alter the landscape of the Big Ten completely. Jeff?
You know what? No, you're not. Because that's the point I also made a couple weeks ago. Not the point you're making, but the point of Michigan, I think, is going to be undefeated going into Ohio State. So that point you're making is absolutely true. They have a chance to win in Ohio State. And if you look at college football, It's Georgia, in my opinion, and everybody else. Alabama having a bit of a down year, although they're still in the race. You could tell they're just not as talented as those past Alabama teams. Ohio State, Jackson Smith, the Jigba, is taking some time to come into his own. He hasn't been playing very well. And I think overall, your point about Michigan, with J.J. McCarthy at quarterback, not only in my opinion are they closer, but defensively, I think they're deeper. I think they have a slightly better defense. And listen, I'm not saying it based on who they've played. They haven't played anybody. But just talent for talent, they can keep up with Ohio State. It's no question. I get you're going to Columbus. You're going to have an Ohio State team that's very motivated. But overall, I think the biggest difference for me and the thing that I'm going to be watching is that experience factor between C.J. Stroud and J.J. McCarthy. Because this is J.J.'s first season starting for the entire season. Although I think he's tremendously talented, it would be, man, I can't even imagine. His first season starting, you go undefeated, you make the college football playoff. That would be big, not only for JJ, but for Michigan. And I think it's possible. I'm not going to sit here and say you're crazy. They have the talent to do it. It's just, I want to see, and I cannot wait for Penn State. That's like a good big test for them.
Penn State's going to be a problem.
Because if JJ plays excellent, it's hard to say excellent, but if he has a damn good game against Penn State and they beat Penn State, your theory is going to become even more and more possible, in my opinion.
On the road to Iowa. Are they on the road to Penn State this year?
I'd have to double check.
No. They are home to Penn State this year. They're home to Michigan
State. Yes, they're home to Penn State, home to Michigan State, back-to-back weeks.
On the road to Iowa.
Yep.
On the road in Columbus to end the year. I like to believe I always am fair with expectations and criticism of any quarterback, not just Cade McNamara or JJ. You're J.J. McCarthy this year? You want to separate and really vindicate what people like me and a lot of people around the country and even in local media have said about you? East Lansing, Michigan State's beaten you guys the last 2 times. Mel Tucker's 2-0 against Harbaugh. They beat your football team last year. You fumbled in a key situation last year. You have to win that game. Penn State, they'll probably be a top 10 team by the time you play them in the country.
Right.
That'll be a top 10 matchup. You're home. Have to win that game.
I'm with Ethan, too. Ethan in the chat says, JJ, you could visit our chat, by the way, on WoodwardSports.com. Ethan Brown says, JJ needs to play more, needs to stop pulling him at halftime. He needs the snaps.
You know what? I agree, but Ethan, they did play him in the third quarter against UConn, but it was a blowout at that point.
Right.
I was nervous on that too, by the way. Going into the third quarter, I thought they were going to pull him. They didn't. They let him go out there. I agree. He needs more snaps, but you're going to see him play the full game against Maryland, so I'm not too concerned with that.
But I don't think you're crazy. I'm going to sit here and say it. I think Michigan will be undefeated going into Ohio State. So they have a chance to have an undefeated season. I know Braylon and Ryan both predicted 12-0. And at first, before the season, you're like, you're crazy. Then you see JJ come in now, the way he's playing. It depends. A lot of it rides on JJ, of course, but there's a real possibility at them. They can go undefeated. I mean, that Ohio State game at the end of the year in Columbus is going to define everything. Who wins the Big Ten? So we'll see. But I'm excited to see JJ against Penn State. I think it's his real first big test. Not at Iowa. I mean, Iowa's tough to play, but offensively, Iowa is hot garbage. So Penn State's the real test for me. But you're in Ann Arbor. You're at the big house. So everything rides on JJ. He's got to stay healthy. He's got to keep playing the way he's been playing.
Fair enough. Let's take a quick pause. Top of the hour coming up. When we get back, DeAndre Swift, the best running back in the NFL, most dynamic. Where did this come from? Is this what we expected this whole time from a second-round pick out of Georgia? That and more. We'll compare him to his classmates, by the way, Antonio Gibson, Jonathan Taylor. In a bit, 9:17 on the second hour. We got Chris Castellani joining us here at the Woodward Sports Network. I can't wait. Very excited. Before we do, Jeff, our good friends over at the Academy of Warren.
Are you interested in expanding your career and making a difference in your community? Academy of Warren for professionals that have a passion for working with students in the K-8 departments and more. For more information on how to apply, call them at 586-552-8010. We are the Academy of Warren.
It took exploring 50 different formulas and hosting countless taste tests, but we believe Gypsy Vodka is the smoothest vodka on the market. Don't believe us? Ask the owners.
We're Mike and Adam Kazanowski with High Five Spirits Distillery. We're in close to about 1,200 locations throughout Michigan. We wanted to create a brand that was geared more towards freedom, love, adventure, and at the end of the day, we really wanted to tell a story that inspired other people to take risk, follow their dreams, whatever that might be.
New to the game or a seasoned bettor? OddsTrader.com has everything you need to make the right bet ahead of kickoff. Begin your handicapping journey with OddsTrader. Improve your edge by finding the best price on every game from sportsbooks in your backyard. Take advantage of the numerous sign-up bonus offers to pad your bankroll. Dive into key game statistics, player performance, and even account for the projected game day weather. Best of all, you can use the OddsTrader Bet Tracker to keep a log of your action. Welcome to OddsTrader, and best of luck.
The only sports network in Detroit that starts with a W. You know, because we win. Woodward Sports, Detroit's winning sports network.
Jeff Iafrate here with Odds Trader. OddsTrader.com is the #1 game day bets. Use it. Use that site. Play-by-play updates, live scores, and the best price on every game from multiple different sports books. Tomorrow is Thursday Night Football. You know what that means. OddsTrader.com can help you out. Go to OddsTrader.com right now for your best bet.
All right, and we are back. 9:01, top of the hour, brought to you by our good friends over at Bedrock Detroit. Thank you for joining us this morning. If you haven't already, make sure you're watching us over at woodwardsports.com. New app coming soon. Can't wait. Jeff, DeAndre Swift, second-round pick. He was taken before, I believe, Jonathan Taylor?
No, after.
After.
Was he? Oh, he might have been taken before.
Yeah, I think Swift went before, and then it went JT shortly after, and then Gibson later, I believe, in the 3rd round. And the conversation, especially after last year, was, boy, it would have been nice to have Jonathan Taylor. And you've seen now Swift healthy, active, getting more involved 2 games into the year.
Yep.
My goodness.
Yeah, he was. Jonathan was after him.
He might be one of the best running backs in the NFL right now.
With how he's been playing in limited opportunities, he's up there. And I think the word dynamic is the one I would use, because I think Jonathan Taylor's a better running back, but DeAndre Swift's more dynamic, if that makes sense. On the ground, Jonathan Taylor is what he is. I mean, talk about a home run guy. DeAndre is one, and he might be more elusive, but Jonathan Taylor, downfield speed is just, he's incredible. But I'm with you. I think DeAndre Swift has a chance to be, the best or one of the best running backs. And I want to go back and look at the draft, because I wanted to see where they had DeAndre Swift. And credit to Maurice Jones-Drew, an All-American at UCLA, NFL.com analyst. He wrote an article at the time, or helped out with an article, ranking the running backs out of the draft. And day 1 starters, #1 on that list, DeAndre Swift. #2, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. 3, J.K. Dobbins. He actually has Jonathan Taylor 6th behind Zach Moss. So think about how crazy that is before the draft. But I do want to say the fact that he had him #1, and he writes right here, the best back in this draft class. Swift has great acceleration, short area quickness, and can make multiple cuts without slowing down. He averaged 171 touches per season over his 3 years at college. He'll be fresh and reliable to go into the NFL as a 3-down back. And it's funny how that translates. I mean, you talk about the limited touches. He does get banged up. So that's my one concern with DeAndre. He's got to stay healthy. But other than that, you saw him in the offseason. The amount of weight he's added, being in the weight room, getting stronger. He looks way better. I mean, he looked damn good in the last 2 seasons. But this season, his first 2 games, what a start. I mean, he's already leading, or at least one of the top rushers in the NFL, and he had 5 carries on Sunday. Look at that for a second. Like, in limited opportunities, DeAndre Swift is making the most out of it. And not just in the run game, it's also in the pass game. And I think that's what separates him from a lot of these other backs. I think he's a better pass catcher and a better route runner than Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I think he's better than J.K. Dobbins. I think he's better than Cam Akers. I think he's better than Zach Moss. Like, he is the best pass catcher in this entire draft class. So that's what you got in DeAndre Swift, who was a Bob Quinn draft choice, by the way, which is kind of crazy to think about. But DeAndre's a stud. There's no question about it. The only thing I would be concerned about is his health. And I think Jonathan Taylor walking into the league, I mean, you walked into a Colts offensive line, so that also benefited you a whole lot. But this Lions offensive line, though, is helping out DeAndre Swift. But to the question, could DeAndre Swift be the best back in the league? He could, if he stays healthy and he has the type of season that he talks about having, which, listen, I don't think he'll get 1,000, But I think he can get 1,000 yards rushing. I think he could be damn near 1,000 in receiving. So, if it's 700, 600, whatever it is. And by that measurement, yeah, he is one of the best backs in the league. I don't think there's much question about it, Adam, but he just has to stay healthy. That's the only thing. You can't go into a game last week, you only get 5 carries. I mean, although you want him to stay healthy, number one running backs aren't getting 5 carries an entire game. But he is making the most out of them. I will tell you that. 5 carries, he had 50 yards. And he had that big run. He had the big play where he caught the ball, was on his butt cheeks, and was able to get to the end zone. So DeAndre Swift he's dynamic, Adam. He really is. The only question I have is, your game 2, he's already banged up. He just has to stay healthy. That's the only thing I have concern about DeAndre.
That's always been the case, right? I think we've all seen it. You saw the screen pass he took to the house last year against the Rams. It's always been there. And even this year, he already has 2 rushes over 50 yards. He is a home run hitter. When's the last time you've had a home run hitter in Detroit at running back?
Man, it's been a while.
Barry Sanders.
A home run hitter, yeah, probably Barry Sanders.
It's only Barry. It's crazy.
Right, because the last 1,000-yard rusher was Reggie, but he ain't. I don't think at the time. At that time, he wasn't a home run hitter. No,
and not to this level. This guy is so dynamic out of the backfield. He can run the football. He can pass catch. I mean, the play he made against Washington. My goodness, my God. We all. Let's be honest. We all heard the call. Dan Miller, by the way, shout out.
He's electric.
Phenomenal call.
He's the GOAT.
For him to fall down, ball behind him, falls on his butt, gets up, makes one cut.
Makes like 2 guys miss.
Makes 2 guys miss in front of him and behind him. And the rest of the team, they're not going to be able to catch up to him once he cuts horizontally. He's done. He's going to run to the sideline and then go upfield, and it's done. He's just so damn good. What running backs in the NFL right now are better than him? It's kind of my question. What running backs are more dynamic? Alvin Kamara, not available right now.
Yeah, dynamic's the key. Yeah, no,
Jonathan Taylor, okay, you can put him 1. That's fine.
Yeah, he's
who's
the best.
2? Saquon? Chubb? Swift is 4th in rushing right now.
Christian McCaffrey struggling so far a little bit.
Yep. Yeah, DeAndre Swift, as of right now, is 4th in the NFL in rushing yards.
Yeah, talk about dynamic. That's the key word. I think he's, if not
he's only
best.
15 yards behind Jonathan Taylor, 28 yards behind Nick Chubb, 36 yards behind Saquon Barkley. Right. And he's done it in 19 and 20 less attempts than the other 2. He's averaging 10 yards a carry. They are averaging half of that. He's a home run hitter. His long of 50 yards, he's ran for over 50 yards already twice on the year. Half of his yards came on 2 runs. That is what you get with DeAndre Swift. And do I have to mention what he does out of the backfield?
He's a receiver.
He is quite the player. He's quite the dynamic player. I did not expect it. I know Flannel Sam came out, DeAndre Swift going to lead the NFC in scrimmage yards or
he said
rushing, whatever it may be. That's not really far-fetched for me, but the reality of having a DeAndre Swift healthy for a whole season to complement Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams when he does come back, TJ Hawkinson, DJ Chark, Josh Reynolds, Jared Goff, that offensive line, DeAndre Swift is the component that makes you explosive. Yes, Jameson Williams will add another X factor to that when he gets back, but for now it's Swift is your home run hitter, and now you're even seeing Amon-Ra St. Brown make some big plays. Maybe they're not down the field, but they start in the backfield or they're short after the line of scrimmage, and he'll take them downfield.
Right.
This is why the offense is putting up almost 36 a game right now.
And you watch Hard Knocks, you see the hard coaching that Deuce Staley has on him. Really, as hard as he is on DeAndre, and people question DeAndre's attitude, or not his attitude, but rather he's just quiet. He's just sitting there in Hard Knocks, taking the coaching. And in reality, he's hungry, man. You see it with Deuce Staley and how he's able to coach him. DeAndre Swift's listening, and he's doing it. I think that has a lot to do, because you saw last year him show some flashes as well. But that's why I love that I got to see Hard Knocks, because you got to see really what DeAndre's working on, and you're seeing it pay off. So I think Deuce Staley has a lot to do with it. I think this offensive line has a lot to do with it. And it's obviously with DeAndre Swift's work ethic, because of what he's done in the offseason, getting stronger, working on his body a lot. Because he understands, if I want to be one of the best, I got to stay healthy. That's it. Because he puts up the numbers, but he does it in 12 games. Can you do it in 17 games, 16 games even? So that's the only question. But the word dynamic is what you used. and that's the right word to use, because DeAndre is one of the most, if not the most dynamic running back in the league. But the best, actual rusher, I would probably give it to Jonathan Taylor just because of his ability to get downfield. I mean, he's insane. I mean, you take last game with a grain of salt. Didn't have a great game, but that's going to happen. Let's see over 17 games. But you're on to something, Adam. I mean, talk about a player being dynamic. There's not much that are more dynamic than DeAndre Swift.
Your thoughts on the Jamal Williams, Craig Reynolds dynamic at the moment?
I don't have an issue with it because overall you want him to be healthy. Listen, I'm not stupid. I want DeAndre, I said it week 1, you got to give him 70-30 of the carries. I mean, or 60-40 over Jamal Williams. This can't be a 50-50 backfield. But as you can see, DeAndre is banged up. So I'm not going to sit here and crap on it. I like Jamal. He's a good change of pace guy, good guy to use in the red zone, 3rd and short situations, 3rd and 1. But in reality, DeAndre Swift's got to be on the field at all times. I mean, what frustrated me, Adam, is against Washington, you get down, DeAndre takes you all the way to the red zone, and he doesn't see the ball again. That's the issue I have, is if you're in those situations, you put the ball in your best player's hands and let him make plays. It should have been DeAndre Swift, but overall, I don't have an issue with it. I think it's better, especially in today's NFL. Pretty much every backfield is a 1-2 punch. That's how most of the time it's treated. You see guys like Jonathan Taylor, it's just him. But I have no problem with that change of pace, Jamal, Craig Reynolds. It's just about when you use them. I mean, DeAndre in the red zone, I think, can be a weapon. You don't need to bring in Jamal every single time. But I don't have an issue with it if it means DeAndre playing the entirety of the season. Because it doesn't mean DeAndre can't still get his carries. I mean, you're seeing what Green Bay's doing with Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. They're both getting 14, 15 carries a game, and they're both playing well. So it can work. That's why I don't really have an issue with it, Adam. I mean, if it means him staying healthy, I'm all for it.
They have to protect him. That is not a choice. They don't have that option. They have no choice but to protect him. But when we come back, Chris Castellani will be joining us this morning to talk about the Detroit Tigers, introducing Scott Harris yesterday at the podium. Quite the interesting presser. A lot of good nuggets out of it. Can't wait to talk to Chris. But before we do, I got to tell you guys about Planet Fitness, the home of the judgment-free zone and the official studio sponsors of the Woodward Sports Network. Get started today for $0 down, $10 a month. Your fitness is essential. Sign up today by visiting them at planetfitness.com or one of their many Metro Detroit locations.
At work and at home, we're there with smarter security solutions. Featuring complete automation with customized alerts and more. For over 90 years, we've been the company that's been counted on to protect what matters most, all with personalized service and care. Right now, for a limited time, receive a free video device plus free installation with a new home system. Guardian Alarm. We protect Michigan.
When you need apparel, there's only one place to go. Big Frog in Novi. With no setup fees, no artwork fees, no minimum, and a 24-hour turnaround, you can have your whole team outfitted in no time. Embroidery, direct-to-garment, vinyl, and screen printing, Big Frog has it all in all the styles you want. So whether it's a sports team, fundraiser, school event, or corporate needs, Big Frog is your one-stop destination. Visit bigfrog.com/Novi or call 844-4-BIG-FROG.
Make sure it's seen and heard. Corner, jumper. Tweet us, hop on the YouTube chat, slide in the DMS at Woodward Sports on all social media.
Jeff Iafrate here with Alta, because guys, at Alta, uptime matters. Alta Equipment has everything you need to get the job done. You have a big project coming up, Alta Rent has you covered. Call them today, 844-GO-TO-ALTA. That's 844-GO-TO-ALTA today.
All right, we're back here on the Morning Woodward Show, joined by our good friend, Chris Castellani. Chris, good morning, buddy.
Yeah, go Tigers!
What's going on,
up?
guys? Thanks
What's
for
up?
having me. How we doing?
Look, I don't think there's anybody in the city more happy probably than you at the moment. Look, I was very vocal about my displeasure with Al Avila.
Were you?
Me, a little bit. I wasn't that dramatic. It wasn't that bad. I think the Tigers just took it a little personal. But anyways, it's a great day, I think, for the city of Detroit. Scott Harris in town. This is one of, another smart individual, well-polished, well-put-together individual. Chris, we did Twitter Spaces the other night. It's not too often you have a sports town where all the GMs kind of look the part, play the part, sound the part, etc. Kind of walk us through your thoughts on the hire and what it means for the Tigers moving forward.
Well, look, I would be lying to you if I didn't tell you that regardless of who they hired, there was going to be some optimism on my part. You can't go further down. Like, you reach the depth of the well where you can't go any further than Avila. So it's like, I think I referred to him as a traffic cone in my video the other day. So it's like, regardless of who they got, I would have been okay with it. But at the same time, the one thing I didn't want them to do was hire from within. I think it's very obvious that the core has been rotten here for about 7-8 years. And they went out and they got an external hire. They went out and got a guy with a phenomenal resume. And when I heard the news and saw the news, and I put it on video as well, I was extremely happy. You get a guy with a tremendous resume, a guy who was a GM for a team last year in San Francisco that ended up being a 107-win team that so many people, myself included, did not think could even reach those heights. They were the only team since 2013 to knock off the Dodgers in the NL West. They did lose to them in the postseason, but it was still a remarkable accomplishment. But in the days that have followed, my excitement has actually grown, quite frankly, because I think that you have seen Jed Hoyer and you've seen Theo Epstein go on record saying, this guy knows what he's doing. He knows what he's talking about. And I thought his press conference was remarkably impressive, just the way that he laid out his philosophy and talked about how this team's going to win, how he wants them to win. It's been such a miserable year, and it's been such a miserable, forgettable stretch of Detroit Tigers baseball. I as long as the resources are there, I have more confidence today in the future of the Detroit Tigers than I've had probably since, the heart of the Dombrowski era.
Thanks for joining us, Chris. By the way, it's always good to see you. I hope you're doing well.
Yeah, of course.
I want to ask you about, if you're Scott Harris, like in this situation, how do you approach Miguel Cabrera? How do you? Because a lot of it depends on how Miggy feels, of course. But if you're Scott, how do you handle that situation?
It's a very delicate thing because baseball is a business, right? I mean, you want to put your best 9 out there. At the same time, there is an attachment to Miguel Cabrera that exists in Detroit. And the last thing you want to do is isolate that relationship. I've said before, I believe that if this team wants to be competitive, and by competitive I mean, it was 75-plus wins next season.
Right.
I think that you have to get rid of the idea that Miguel Cabrera is an everyday player anymore. And I love Miggy, but like I brought up just a minute, like, it is a business. This is a guy with 500 home runs. It's a guy with 3,000 hits. But I think that even AJ a few weeks ago, let it be known that this is a guy whose health is, Father Time is undefeated. And regardless of what he's done here, and you don't cut him, right? You don't force him into retirement. But I do think that if you're looking at next year's starting 9, he may be better suited being a pinch hitter bench player, because the DH position, when you look around the league, especially now that it's been added in the National League, that's where you have Pete Alonso. That's where you have JD Martinez. And as much as the city loves Miguel Cabrera and as much as the fan base loves Miguel Cabrera, you can't claim to be a competitive team and have a guy as your DH who's putting up a 600-something OPS, regardless of what he's done for you. So I think that that evaluation will be made. He talked about it yesterday. He said, I haven't met Miggy yet. I haven't talked to Miggy, and when I do, I'm going to ask him how he feels, and we're going to try to work something out. But that will be a delicate situation, because the last thing you want to do is isolate the people who are so attached to him, but you have to put out a quality product.
Chris, I got to say, earlier you mentioned that whoever the hire was, there would have been optimism, because you're going from Al Avila to anybody at this point. But we talk timeline a lot, and how long it should take or will take. You go around the league, it's typically 2 years if you're really good at not only scouting and bringing up talent, but you also have a budget to work with. But it seems like 3 is kind of the average number where if you know what you're doing, you can turn it around. Is it 3 years here in Detroit, or do we look at this team and say, all right, well, we got to figure out the Baez situation, whether or not we're going to move him to a different position and bring in a legitimate power-hitting shortstop? What do we think of the talent? We have Torkelson, you have Riley Green, you have a lot of good arms that you could probably leverage in a trade in the offseason. What does this timeline look like with Scott Harris, without being too blunt and saying, all right, the clock's ticking, time to start winning?
Right.
Because I think we're all going to give him the appropriate amount of time he needs. But realistically, with what you have, how long should Tigers fans expect this rebuild to take?
Well, I think he did a tremendous job in his press conference yesterday, not guaranteeing a timeline, not saying we're going to win X amount of games in this year. Because he did bring up something that is true. There are so many variables in the sport of baseball. There are. I mean, last year's Braves had an entire team that was injured. They win the World Series. They come back this year. They are better than they were a year ago. Who knows how it's going to finish? You know, there's so many different weird things that can happen. You can, on paper, have the perfect roster, but if that roster gets injured, if that roster underperforms, you can look back at the season as a disappointment. This year has been miserable. I've talked about it in every one of my videos, how tough it's been. And at the same time, while it's a results-oriented business, and Avila and Illich deserve the criticism that they received by people like us, I believe if you play this season out 100 times, this was the worst-case scenario. And the reason I bring that up is because I think that does inspire a little bit of hope that with a good president of baseball operations and Scott Harris, this thing can, I'm not saying it will, it can be turned around quicker than people think. This team lost so many pitchers to injury. So the roundabout answer that I'm trying to give you is I believe that by 2024, I'm not saying you should be making the playoffs, even with the expanded postseason, but I think within 2 years, in the summer, July, August, meaningful baseball, like 3 games back of the wild card, 4 games back of the last wild card. I think that's a reasonable expectation because you look at what next year may hold. We're not going to see a repeat of the Erod situation. Spencer Turnbull will be coming off of Tommy John surgery, and I still think he'll be quite good. Skubal will be back from injury. Hopefully Brisky will be back from injury. And beyond that, you have a president of baseball ops who will hopefully make some moves to bolster the lineup. The big thing he said yesterday that I guess I hadn't really thought about in the past is you win baseball games by dominating the strike zone. You win baseball games by having pitchers who are throwing strikes and having hitters that are swinging at strikes. And that was, I think, inadvertently like a thinly veiled kind of knock on what this offense has been. I think that they're going to make a real attempt during this offseason to make sure that they are getting hitters, and it's going to take time, of course. You know, it's not going to happen overnight, to get hitters that are not chasing pitches, that are not swinging at balls in the dirt, that are working up pitch counts. And if that happens, I think this thing could end up being turned around a little bit quicker than some people think.
For me personally, I think signs of good leadership traits are when you admit you don't know everything. And as much as you want to say about Sheila Ford, going out, reaching out to Chris Spielman, reaching out to Barry Sanders, getting a guy like Brad Holmes. For Chris Illich, going out, and it's crazy because at the press conference you heard him say Steve Yzerman helped out. Like things like that. What are your thoughts on Chris Illich? Because I know he got a lot of flack for the whole thing, how he handled Al Avila this season. What do you think of Chris Illich and again, going out and getting a hot commodity like a Scott Harris, who during the season, by the way, who's going to be looked at in the offseason? Just give your thoughts on Chris Illich and just during this hiring process.
Look, the optimism is high today. So the vibes are up substantially more than they have been in a while. But what I liked about that, and I give Chris Illich credit for the hire. It makes sense on paper. But what I took out of that was him kind of admitting, I'm not really sure what I'm doing here. But to me though, you know, I mean, I'm slightly joking, but to me that's fine. That's good,
right?
Because it means that you are saying, okay, I'm not the smartest guy in the room. Let me talk to someone that is. And you have a resource there. I know it's a different sport, and the way that you build a hockey team is substantially different than how you're going to build a baseball team. I understand that, but when you have that resource, why not go to the best GM in hockey and say, what are the intangibles that go into making a good leader, that go into player development? I view that as a smart move. I think that when you're talking about hiring somebody who's going to lead your baseball team into the future, that needs to be a collaborative effort. Even if Chris Illich was viewed as one of the best owners in sports, even if he was, Steve Cohen, who's killing it with the Mets right now, you need to have that awareness, I feel like, to be able to make this a collaborative effort and make sure that other voices are giving their opinions about this hire. So when I heard that, it was a weird thing. I almost did a double take where he brought up Yzerman's name, but it makes sense. He has the highest approval rating and the best track record of any GM or president in the city right now. Why not use him as a resource? So I actually ended up being quite happy with that.
Chris, I gotta say, it's a good time to be a Tigers fan, and this was a comment made on the Twitter Spaces. It's just good it's nice to have for any city when your baseball team is good. Summer of July, August, it's just a good feeling. Games at 1 o'clock, you're actually looking forward to them. You don't mind opening your phone and checking the box score if you're not able to watch it live. You don't mind taking a day off, going down to the ballpark. It's a great trend. The fact that the city actually has 4 people who so far know what the hell they're doing.
Right.
That is a very good sign. I have to say, though, you guys brought up the Miggy situation earlier. I was a bit more ruthless in what I thought they should do with him after he hit his milestones, but I think there is value to him being a player coach. You probably, at what, most 60 games probably, Chris, next year is the most I really want to see him. Anything more than that I think is ridiculous unless he pulls off some kind of magical run like Albert Pujols is on right now.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. And the Pujols thing is that's a weird situation where I think the stars just aligned, where he went back to the place where he, had his best years. The Cardinals are very good at developing and resurrecting talent. I think 60 games is fair. Now, so much of that will depend on injuries to other players and whether or not other guys stay healthy. He may be forced into a bigger role at some point. But, yeah, like I said, you don't want to isolate him. But going forward, the milestones have been reached. You sold your tickets. I was at the park when he got 3,000. That's not going to play next year. I think people have been too patient. And while, you give him the send-off, right? You give him the standing O. Hell, I mean, I don't think this will happen next season, but you want to retire his number, go ahead. The guy's one of the greatest hitters that ever lived. But I do think that given the state of the offense this year, really over the last several years, you can't have him batting cleanup again because that would imply that you don't have better options. And the fact that you don't would be incredibly frustrating.
Chris, Aaron Judge, 60th home run last night. What he's doing this year is nothing short of really spectacular. He's batting almost 320. He's leading the AL in home runs, leading the league in home runs by 20, leading the league in RBIs. 20, like it is a night and day difference between where he's at and everybody else. Kind of the historic landmark. Walk me through this because he's probably going to win the Triple Crown unless he goes on a cold streak here. We all freaked out about Miggy doing it. When Miggy did it, I believe it was, 42, 43 home runs, 136 RBIs, and I think he was batting, 323, something along those lines. This dude's hitting 60 home runs, Chris.
Dude, I went off on this on Twitter Spaces last night because I got some comments from people saying, well, the official record is 73. Call me when he does that. I've actually had people say this isn't that big of a deal. And if you want to say that Barry Bonds is the official single season record holder with 73, that's fine. Or it was 72, I believe it might have been. That's fine. You can feel that way. But whether you want to talk about the steroid era and whether or not baseball turned a blind eye, and those discussions are welcome to be had. Those guys did still cheat. I'm sorry. You have a guy right now in an era in which the baseball is dead. No one's hitting for power. We have the lowest batting average that baseball's seen in decades. The batting average across the league, I believe, is 248 right now. This dude's hitting 60. And it's not just that Aaron Judge, and I'm glad you brought up the Triple Crown. It's not like he is one of those, and I like this player, but I'm just using him as an example. He's not a Kyle Schwarber who's going to hit 230 with 40 bombs, with a lot of walks and a lot of strikeouts. This guy is an amazing pure hitter. When he's not hitting home runs, he's ripping doubles and drawing walks. This is just the kind of player he is. I think that this is an amazing thing for baseball. Look, I also said this before too. If he played for, just throwing out a team here, if he played for the Royals, would this be as exciting? Probably not. But the fact that he is chasing names like Ruth and Mantle, who played for the team he played for. You can love the Yankees, you can hate the Yankees, but it's undeniable they are probably the most recognizable brand in all of sports in terms of a franchise. What he's been able to do this season, betting on himself, too. That's another part of this this narrative. This is a contract year for him, and I think that bet is going to end up paying off because I think he's going to earn a substantial amount of money this offseason. I've loved watching it. I really have, and I think it's been an incredible MVP race. It's not to take anything away from what Shohei Ohtani does on a nightly basis, but when you have a guy in an era like this doing what he's done, you get chills watching it, and it's been really fun.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. My goodness. I can't believe we're probably going to witness another triple. I'm going to witness 2 of them. We're all going to witness 2 in our lifetimes. That is insane. Regarding the home run race, if you go to all time, and look, I know McGwire, his legacy is tainted, but you go to the most home runs ever, home runs per at bat. It's like 10.61. I think McGwire owns that record. And for his career, I think Aaron Judge is just behind him at like 12.2. Yeah. But this year, Chris, he gets a home run every 8.6 at bats. What the hell is that?
Dude, it's been crazy. I was watching. It's one of those weird things. We had the similar feeling. I remember in summer 2012, summer 2013 with Miggy, where it's like when he doesn't get a hit or a home run, it's surprising. Like, this is a sport of failure. It's a sport in which the best hitter in the world will fail 60-70% of the time. But now it's like a surprise. If there's not a pitch over the middle or inside that he's crushing, it's like, is something wrong? And it speaks to something that you brought up. Where, I mean, I remember those summers with Mickey and how good he was and how it just seemed like every time he stepped to the dish, he was going to go deep. His best year, I believe, 44 home runs. This guy's got 60 with 2 weeks left. Like, that cannot be, and Park Factor has something to do with that. I acknowledge it, but it cannot be overstated, just the kind of run that this guy is on. It's been a real pleasure.
Absolutely. Well, Chris, we can't thank you enough for joining us this morning. Aaron Judge is the 6th player in MLB history, by the way, to hit 60 home runs. I mean, you want to talk about enjoying the moment. I would enjoy the hell out of it. I hope he passes the record in the AL for most home runs in a season. That is going to be everything. Got to root hard for Albert Pujols too to get 700. That'd be cool to see. I would hate to see him at 699 and walking away. I know he's at 698 right now, but that'd be awful. Chris, can't thank you enough, man. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Chris.
Oh, always good stuff, guys. Have a good one, man.
Appreciate it.
Go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
All right, when we get back, we got to revisit Ben Johnson and the Lions' offense. Can it actually continue at the pace it's going at? Jeff and I will break that down and more in just a bit. But before we do, I got to tell you about our good friends over at Gypsy Vodka and their official drink of the summer and my official drink of Sundays, and that is the Mulligan. Iced tea, lemonade, Gypsy Vodka mixed, 8% alcohol. You got to make sure you're supporting local. As always, the Mulligan is my go-to drink. And look, if you want to go to the golf course with Fish and Jeff before the year ends, all right, fine, have a drink. Shut the hell up, Fish. You have a drink on the course, no problem. But this is the go-to drink for me on Sundays. I absolutely love it. Please drink responsibly.
Hey, this is Mr. Kearney, Chief Academic Officer at Academy of Warren. I want to welcome you to the brand new field house. The state-of-the-art facility has a regulation basketball court, volleyball court, soccer field. It can be used for 7-on-7 football. Our K-8 academic features AM, PM, latchkey, small classroom sizes, Learning Street, futuristic media center, free breakfast and lunch, Houghton Mifflin curriculum, academic games, K-8 athletics, and more. Enroll today at academywarren.net.
For a limited time only, all new burgers and loaded fries at Big Boy. It's not a Slim Jim, it's the Big Jim. The chili cheese is such a tease. Guess what else is new? The bacon blue. How about upgrading those fries? Chili cheese fries, baked potato fries, nacho fries, what will it be? Satisfy those taste buds at Big Boy.
Hey, it's Scott from the Bet Show. Hey, week 3 of NFL is upon us. How's your fantasy team doing? You got any injuries? Are you 0-2? If so, hey, make sure you join us at 4:30 at the Woodward Bets YouTube page. We'll help get your team back on track. Also, you guys get to go over to that app store and download oddstrader.com. It's got live scoring, play-by-play updates, and it's the best place to check all the odds of sports books right in the palm of your hand. But hey, let's get to some fun coupons. We need to get some winners today. Let's roll. Here we go. We got Tampa Bay Rays today facing the Houston Astros. Astros pretty much already clinched. Hey, they already got it. Tampa Bay needs to fight for that wild card spot. Sounds good to me. oddstrader.com. Woodward Bets. Check it out.
We are the network for Detroit by Detroiters. Welcome to the Woodward Sports Network.
Get a free Woodward Sports t-shirt. That's right. A free Woodward Sports t-shirt all month long in Big Frog and Novi. Stop in, tell them we sent you, and they will print one out for you on the spot. So go to Big Frog and Novi today. Get your free t-shirt or visit them online at bigfrog.com/, you see it, Novi.
All right, we are back here on the Morning Woodward Show. Thank you for joining us this morning over at woodwardsports.com. Can't thank you guys enough. To everybody in the Woodward Sports chat, thank you. Appreciate it as always. Jeff, I see you commenting with them. You're a nice dude. I think one of these days I'm going to just commit. I'm just going to start typing.
All the people, man. If you guys are listening to this
Haven't
on
you done that
podcast-
before?
If you guys are listening to this on podcast, you're missing out, man. Go to the woodwardsports.com website. It's beautiful. It's honestly, you can watch the streams, check out articles. It's a blast. People are missing out.
Jeff, I got to say, Ben Johnson.
He's a stud.
Look,
He's
you
a
know,
stud.
it's one of those things like we'll feel good because when did we do this? Last November, right? During the season, it was the Ben Johnson talk. It was the story of the show. We were trying to like
hammering it home. Yeah,
put it out there.
into reality.
Thank you. It's here now. It's 2 games in. 9 touchdowns through 2 games. 35.5 points a game. Tied for the second most points in the NFL. Can this continue? Is this legitimate? And not only can it continue, forget the 35 number. That is very unrealistic. But can the offense continue to click at this level?
I think the takeaway I'll have is scoring in consistent quarters. I think can keep up, because you saw last year especially early in the year there'd be halves or there'd be quarters where the Lions would not score anything. But you're seeing it, the tide kind of turned now, especially the end of last year, this year so far. I think the consistency of this offense is what you're going to be looking for. I don't know about scoring near 40 points. It is crazy to think about. They scored 30-plus in each of their games, and they left a lot of points out there, which is encouraging. But for me, for Ben Johnson's sake, I'm not going to sit here and say they're going to be the best offense in the league. I mean, I hope so. You're going to have to be if you want to win a lot of games with this defense. But for me, it's really just about being consistent. That's the biggest thing. And it's really how Jared looks. Because so far, Jared, he's second in the NFC North in passing yards, and he's first in touchdowns. That's what I look at. And he's done a heck of a job with Jared Goff. I think Jared's found that confidence again. Say what you want about Jared. Even though he is still, to me, a middle-of-the-pack quarterback, you can still have an excellent year. And I think he's bound to have that this year with Ben Johnson. But, Adam, I'm not necessarily looking at the 35, 8 points a game, whatever it is. I'm looking at the consistency. Can you show up? And you saw the defense last game shut the Commanders out for the first half, second half give up 27. I think it's going to be the opposite with this offense. I could see, 7 in the first, you get a field goal in the second quarter. It's just about being consistent. And if they can do just that, I think they're going to be a damn good offense. So I have full confidence in this offense. Obviously, we talk about that's the strength of this team. And with Ben Johnson leading, him being unpredictable, innovative, you could see it. Like even last game against the Commanders, implementing that play action, getting more guys involved. Amon-Ra is spectacular. But with the weapons they have for how creative he is, there's no doubt in my mind the weapons that he's been given, Jared's been given, this offensive line, they can't be one of the best offenses. But more importantly, can you be consistent? All right, that's all I ask. And that's what I think Ben will do for this offense this season. Not necessarily 30-ish points a game. I mean, that's not going to happen. If you can get around 27 points per game, I think we'll all take it. 26, 27. Before the season, I was asking for 24, and they added a couple more points on top of that. So I'm good with it. But
I think it continues.
You think?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why I think it continues. Maybe not at the 36 points a game level.
Right.
But it'll be a potent offense for the entire season. Not just because they have a new offensive coordinator and we like him a lot and he's super talented, very innovative. Not just because of that. Look at their talent. With backups, they dominated the line of scrimmage against Washington at the offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
Wait till they get their starters back.
And guys aren't playing.
DeAndre Swift. Would we agree at least a top 5 back in the NFL right now?
Yes, I would
right
agree.
now. Just the 2 games in. He's definitely a top 5 back. Amon-Ra St. Brown is a top 5 receiver in the NFL right now.
Right.
No one stopped him yet. Like, you really look at this. They have so many pieces. And I talked about it before the year. They're going to be a pain in the ass to play against. This is exactly what it means. They can run the ball on any down. They can throw the ball on any down. Jared Goff, a confident Jared Goff, is going to put up a year of numbers that you weren't expecting. And what I tell you before the year, 4,100, 27 touchdowns.
Oh,
that was the goal.
He's on pace to throw.
The pace thing is ridiculous, but more so the point, though. That's what it's going to look like. And we see blowouts in the NFL. We see teams put up garbage time points. We see teams score really in odd fashion, right? Nothing that's replicable. What the Bills do on an offensive standpoint is repeatable every week. They are that capable.
Yeah.
The Lions, they are that capable. They have the offensive line. They have a few receivers you have to be careful of. They have a mismatch at tight end, even though the guy can't catch the ball right now. They have a dynamic running back, and they have a quarterback who's making the throws he was told he couldn't make.
That's the big question. Is what Jared Goff are you getting for the entire season, I think. And I'm not saying Jared's going to be terrible, but what I am saying is what Jared are you getting? And we talked about it week 1 or week 2. I think it'll be an influx of between week 1 and week 2. You'll get a consistent Jared. A lot of it rides on Jared, but also, Adam, to your point, DJ Chark hasn't fully arrived.
Nope.
TJ Hawkinson hasn't been playing well. I think he leads the league in drops. You don't have Jameson Williams back. Like, there's a lot of things that still need to, click
and
together.
And they're still finding their way,
right.
And I think a big part of it is DeAndre Swift. So he is I think the cog of that team. If he goes down for any reason,
it's tough.
The whole formation, the whole foundation of that team and that offense changes. You are no longer a home run hitting, dynamic running team. You are now a team that can run for a few yards with Reynolds and Williams, but you lose that big play threat ability that really puts teams on their toes.
And that receiving threat out of the backfield. Absolutely.
I think it can continue. Absolutely. Ben Johnson doing a hell of a job so far as the Lions OC. When we get back, Jeff Okudah, Jared Goff, we have to have the conversation. Jeff Okudah so far, I would say so good. So far, so good.
Mm-hmm.
Well done. It's been quiet. He hasn't been beat. He hasn't been embarrassed. He's making tackles. He's, I would say, slightly above average so far. Hell, I would even say good.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean in an honest-to-God good way. Jared Goff has been very good. Outside of that first half, he's been very good. We'll get to those two in a bit. But before we do, Jeff, our good friends over at the Sports Marketing Agency.
Guys, the Sports Marketing Agency helps spread awareness about mental health and substance abuse. Their new podcast, This is the F Word, helps spread awareness of fentanyl and other addictions. They let people know it's okay to not be okay. Visit thesportsma.com if you're struggling or know someone who is.
Hi, my diamonds. It's Crystal with an X. You want to get hot and perfect like me? Here's my super easy routine. Drink at least a gallon of water before you wake up. Attach a weight to everything in your house. Hello? Sell your car and just sprint everywhere. Scream when you exhale.
Don't follow Crystal with an X. Do your own thing at Planet Fitness with tons of equipment and free fitness training in our clean and spacious clubs. Join now for just $10 a month and cancel anytime.
Detroit's downtown summer playground is back. Open all summer long, the Monroe Street Midway. Enjoy roller skating, free Wi-Fi, food trucks, art installations, and so much more. Don't forget to take advantage of the basketball court, putt-putt, and, of course, family programming all summer long. All art installations are done by Detroit artists, and it's a fun, safe event from people 1 to 100. Go to deckedoutdetroit.com.
We don't like to brag that we are the toughest sports network in Detroit, but we do have a guy named Darren McCarty on our side.
Lemieux and McCarty, who've had a good knockdown drag up. There they go, right on the whistle. They were talking to one another.
Woodward Sports.
Fowling Warehouse in Hamtramck is the home of the original football bowling game, 2 to play for $12. They also have the unlimited open play as well as the $120 lane reservation, which you can bring up to 10 people. They have the $2 mystery beer machine and full bar. If you want to get your drink on, check it out, fowlingwarehouse.com.
I love it. 9:44. We got a few minutes before we get to Mailbag where we'll answer all of your questions. But Jeff Okudah, walk me through it.
He's been, definitely exceeded my expectations because a guy who's coming off an Achilles injury, playing you could argue the hardest position in football besides quarterback, taking on the role he's been taking on, being the number 2 corner, being the number 1 corner last week. I have no complaints about what I've seen out of Jeff Okudah. And the biggest and the most impressive thing to me is not even his open field tackling because he's done a hell of a job, but it's Carson Wentz and Jalen Hurts looking off of Jeff Okudah. looking off of him. Hey, don't throw it to Jeff Okudah. That's what I take away, and that's the most impressive thing, because last year it was throw to Jeff Okudah. In the year before that, it was throw to Jeff Okudah. Now it's the opposite, and you could tell the work he's been putting in the offseason, training with one of the best trainers in football for all-pro cornerbacks. It's all been paying off. So for me, Jeff Okudah has been not only exceeding my expectations, but I think he has a chance this year to solidify his spot with this core. And I don't really want to hear that number 3 overall talk. It has nothing to do with what Jeff's doing, because we all can agree he was drafted way too high, but that has nothing to do with him now here. And he's been playing excellent. I do want to point out, too, with Jeff Okudah, it's about staying healthy. That's the number one thing for me, because no doubt in my mind, if Jeff is here the entire 17, hell, dare I say 16-game season, you'll take it from what you've gotten out of Jeff. It's about staying healthy for me. I don't really question so far his play on the field. You're going to have to see it against Justin Jefferson this week. He talked about how he accepts that challenge. He's ready for it. This is what he wants, is to challenge himself, which you got to love that. But I've loved, Jeff has put his head down and worked. And that's all you can ask out of a guy. You talk about guys being a bust or this and that. For players like Eric Ebron, not only was he a bust or a fail at that pick, but it was the attitude. It was the mindset. It was not having the right approach. Jeff Okudah's checked all those boxes. You cannot deny the work ethic of Jeff Okudah. That's one thing. Number 2, for a guy who had to step in for Amani Oruwariye, who's your number 1 corner last week against a wide receiver core, I thought, I was very high on last week, talked all about them and the speed they have. Terry McLaurin was, 3-4 catches, didn't have 100 yards. That's a good game by Jeff Okudah. It's hard to shut guys down in today's game, which he did do that against Devontae Smith, by the way. It's hard to do that. But if you could slow guys down and make quarterbacks look away from you, you're doing your job. And Jeff's been doing that through 2 weeks, Adam, so I have no complaints.
I don't want to sit here and take anything away from what he's done in the first 2 weeks. But I think we have to limit what we say sometimes and be cautious a little bit. To say he shut down Devontae Smith, is it him shutting him down? What was it, on 2 targets?
Yeah, 4 targets, didn't catch a ball.
4 targets, excuse me.
Didn't catch a ball.
That you can isolate as a game and say, in those 4 instances, Jeff Okudah was on it.
Yeah.
Hell of a job.
Had some things he had to clean up.
The one thing he did on it, the one play he had against A.J. Brown, good job. But the idea of shutting him down, even though in fantasy he got shut down, or, in theory he didn't get a single catch that game, but the reality is, they were running the ball effectively, and A.J. Brown was unstoppable. So you take it with a grain of salt in Week 1. Week 2, a much better performance, I think, than Week 1. He was making way too many tackles in Week 1. It just showed that why they were losing that football game. Not to his fault, but the defense was just getting shredded by Philly.
Right.
First half against Washington, a perfect game by almost everybody on the defense. Second half, they struggle a little bit, but they bounce back. They force a turnover. They make a few plays here and there that they needed. They win the game. Jeff Okudah going into this week, are we ready to say he's the number 1 corner? Not yet. And we're going to have to see how he steps up. 85% of the snaps in Week 1, 87 in Week 2.
And that's with cramps on the sidelines.
And that is with cramps. Now it's, can he go up against a Justin Jefferson? And I'm not saying he needs to have the game that Darius Slay just had. That is beyond
that's
elite.
an all-pro corner.
But have a game. Have a few pass deflections. Hell, make a few plays that don't get chalked up in the box score, which he's done a lot so far in the first 2 games. I want him to take the first 2 performances and just kind of snowball it. Continue and continue and continue. But it's not at an all-pro level. It's not at a Pro Bowl level that he's playing at. He's just playing good football. You're not talking about him, which is good because he's not getting beat, right? So he's doing his job, and that is a very important thing. But to sit here and now, we're just going to forget the past, that's fine if you want to. But the reality is, it's still unproven. We're only 2 games still into the year. There's still a lot of games left. So far, he's shown a lot of promise.
Yep.
But I haven't seen elite stuff yet. And again, he's coming off an Achilles injury. He needs time. And in November, you want to have a conversation about him, the number 3 overall pick, the first 2 years. Is he elite? Is he not elite? Can he be elite? All that stuff. We can do that later. But right now, all I really want to do is say he's done a good job.
And who's the best corner in football, in your opinion?
The best corner?
Yeah.
I think Jareer Alexander. I know a lot of people say Jalen Ramsey, but I think
But
it's
let's just
Jarrell.
use, and that's a great
But
point.
fair, you want to use Jalen Ramsey? He got burnt by Stephon Diggs week
Perfect
1.
pass rating. So, and even Darius Slay. I mean, Darius Slay over DJ Chark, the pass that was completed by Jared Goff. Like, guys are going to get beat. I'm not going to sit here, and if Justin Jefferson catches a touchdown over Jeff Okudah, I'm not going to be saying here, see, I told you so. It's not about that. It's about building on these performances. And like you said, being solid. Can you get a couple pass deflections? Can you get in there and disrupt some plays? Listen, you're in this, especially in today's game and how offensively driven it is, Jeff Okudah is bound to give up plays, but it's how much do you give up? The last 2 seasons when he's been healthy, he's given up some big plays, he's made mistakes, but so far through 2 games, his open field tackling, his ability to stay on and actually, dare I say, shut guys down, but stay in guys, you got to give him credit where it's due. So I love what I've been seeing out of Jeff Okudah. But Jared Goff as well is another guy we got to talk about quickly because first in touchdowns in the NFC North.
Yep.
We'll see how he can keep that up. But overall, I love what I've seen out of Jared Goff. There's nothing to complain about. And it doesn't change what we think about Jared because we talk about this all the time, Adam. Guys like Jared can have really, really good years. That's the reality of it. It doesn't change necessarily what I think about Jared. I still think he's a guy that you can win playoff games with, win a playoff game. But we'll see. I know he's been playing damn good so far, so got to give him credit where it's due.
All right, fair enough. Let's take a quick pause. When we get back, we'll answer all of your questions in the chat. It's mailbag time. Get your questions in the chat. But before we do, I got to tell you about where I'm probably going to have to get a haircut over the next few days because, my God, my hair just doesn't give me a break. It just grows back so fast.
Bear.
So we're going to go get our haircut at Lady Jane's.
Lady Jane's.
Open 10 to 8,
Awesome.
7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Their awesome stylists will take care of you like they take care of me, whether you want to trim up your beard, you want to get a shortcut, you want to fade, whatever it may be. Their stylists know what they're doing. They're one of the best in the business, if not the absolute best. Walk in anytime. Like I said, 10 to 8, 7 days a week. No appointment needed. Lady Jane's. It's wicked awesome.
The sports marketing agency would not be who we are without great community partners like Higuera Health and Carol Zaniga.
It's an awesome opportunity to partner with your organization. Higuera Health is a comprehensive behavioral health organization. We serve children through older adults with mental health, substance use, and developmental disabilities across Western Wayne counties, and really excited to now be in downriver communities as well. Give us a call at 734-458-4601.
You don't have to go to the beach, man. You don't have to get your butt crack full of sand. You just need a little chili peppers, man, to get that glowing beach chili peppers tan. Woo!
With 26 locations in the Metro Detroit area and more coming, Chili Peppers Tanning is where you'll find the cleanest salons in the D. Join the Pepper Club for the best deals on unlimited tanning. Head to chilipepperstanning.com.
You just need a little chili peppers, man.
3 NBA championships. Detroit fans were there. 11 Stanley Cups. Detroit fans were there. 4 World Series wins. Detroit fans were there. And that one Lions playoff win in 1991. Yeah, Detroit fans were there. Woodward Sports, where the fans are.
And we're back for Mailbag live here on the Woodward Sports Network. Jeff Iafrate, Adham Beydoun. Jeff, it's Mailbag time. Let's answer some questions. Jeff, I understand what you're saying about Jared Goff. Now let's see if he can keep it going and keep winning.
That's fair.
Fair?
That's fair.
All right. Pat Riley asks, you have seen the Lions defense at home. Do you fear they will take a step back on the road? Quote, or excuse me, in parentheses, if that's even possible.
I think most defenses take a little bit of a step back on the road. I don't think that's out
32
of the realm.
and a half points at
But,
home. So, yeah. I get what he's saying.
Yeah, no, like, it's from what they are at home, yeah, it's fair. Like, if they go out and they hold the Vikings to under 20 points or 20 points, like, you can't deny that's not impressive on the road. I think they're going to give up. We'll get to it. I don't want to give out too many things, but
Steve-O,
it's going to be hard.
Steve-O asks, Adam, if Fish was out in the rain and you were driving by,
I was
would you pick
actually
him up?
last night.
Would you pick him up? If Fish was out on the street alone at night, I was driving by, it was pouring rain, I would hit the gas pedal and I would drive right next to the sidewalk and splash him with a bottle.
You're going to call me a sicko because once I'm out in the rain, I actually enjoy it.
That's actually a trick question. Fish is never alone. He's always with ladies. He's always with women.
Well, that's definitely a lie.
No, Fish. You're supposed to say yeah.
I was out in the rain last night, by the way. So
Why?
why soccer game, which ended up getting canceled.
Okay, I thought you meant like literally you were out in the rain, just standing out there.
Well, but once I go out there, I actually enjoy it.
You're just
But
different.
you got to get me. You got to get me out in the rain.
Different breed.
Like golfing in the rain in Scotland, I do that in 2 seconds. Golfing in the rain in America,
A little different.
maybe not.
I like Anthony's question. Adam, does hockey have any trade value? Not right now. Not leading the team in drop or the league in drops.
It takes two to tango. So if somebody in the NFL feels the Lions aren't getting enough out of him and they believe they can, then yes, he does have trade value. But as of right now, his production doesn't warrant any trade value. Mailbag, if the Lions win on Sunday, does Armani smoke hookah with Braylon and Adam on Monday?
Nope.
I don't know. You should ask them. You should ask. I offered to bring in hookahs for everybody. They
Did you see what they said about you would be on the show yesterday?
Oh, that we're lowlifes?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay.
Braylon's like, those guys think Tua's mid over there. I'm like, well.
Us?
Yeah, I mean, I like Tua, but.
Wait, what?
I don't know. I don't know where you got that narrative. I think he meant Big D.
Yeah, he meant that shit.
Braylon,
Yeah.
do me a favor.
Uh-oh.
Do me a favor. Shut the hell up. You're gonna talk about the show. At least say it right. You're talking about the heavyweights, all right, and specifically
them too, yeah.
Easy. You're not talking about me or Jeff. Me or Jeff haven't made a single comment about Tua
we
on
really
this
talked
damn
about
show.
Tua.
So do me a favor. Get it right.
We're going to war.
Would
Love
you guys-
those guys on Armani and Edwards, man, and Maz.
Goddamn Michigan fans.
By the way, those storms were
They were
crazy
bringing the heat.
yesterday,
Hey, they were
speaking
bringing
of
the heat
storms.
yesterday against State. They were coming after your boys.
Look, man, these damn Michigan fans. This is what kills me.
Said your
This is why
team, they
we
said your
struggle.
team sucks.
They did.
All right.
Wait till
All
October
right, my team
29th.
sucks. We've been to the same amount of college football playoffs, dude. I don't know what to tell you.
Wait till
I really
October
don't.
29th.
More Big Ten titles over the last 10 years. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. 10 out of 14. I don't know what to tell you. I really don't.
I love this, Adam, man.
I don't like
October
I don't know.
29th. We'll find out.
Oh, I love it.
Ape says he traded Hawk on Madden for a 4th-round pick. If that's what he's going for, that's not a
Madden.
good sign.
Gotta love
That
the
is
Madden
not a good
trades,
sign. What
man.
draft pick would you take to trade Hawk? Is the question. I don't know.
Yeah, right now.
I'm not going to put a number on it.
Yeah,
I'm not
going to
put a pick
early.
number
I got
on
to see
it.
Hawk more play. I think he's worth higher than a 4th, but he hasn't been showing me that for 2 weeks.
Jeff, what's the best video game of all time? And does it matter which era? Oh, it doesn't matter which era. Excuse me. So any era, doesn't matter.
The best
Greatest video game of all
I guess
time.
the best franchise. Well, what I grew up on is it's kind of messed up, but I had older brothers. Grand Theft Auto. I've been playing since
Yeah,
San
yeah.
Andreas, man. Grand Theft Auto 3. Like
Hey, did you see they leaked out
That's
the
my
GTA
and that's
6?
probably explains why I'm messed up in the head. But I think sports games it'd have to be early Madden, not Madden lately. I'm talking Madden 10, Madden 09, going back to 2K. They're all great, man. I still play those franchises, so they're goats to me.
Did you see they leaked out GTA 6?
They did.
Everyone's...
They did.
What was your favorite game growing up? Let's say from 8 to like 14.
It'd probably be 8 to 14. I think by that time I was probably dabbling in some San Andreas, especially at 8.
Yeah.
I was playing my brother's
I was a
PS2
big Call
at the
of Duty
time.
kid.
Love Call of Duty.
Call of Duty was my
That
thing
was
as a
another
kid.
one I always dabbled in.
Yeah. Call of Duty was great. I remember my mom got me what did they call it back in the day? It's like Xbox Live.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Xbox
And I got a
Live.
headset
Yeah.
for the first time. I think I was like 10 years old. Man, you grow up real quick.
Doug says NFL 2K8. Oh my
No,
God.
2K5 I think
Yeah,
is
there
still the
was
best the best video game that's ever been put out.
My brothers, man,
for football.
they have all of them.
2K5 I think to this day. NCAA 14 is really good.
Isn't that the
But-
last one? Or is it 15?
It is the last one. Yep. Hell, the one with Larry Fitzgerald on the cover was really good. I think that was 04.
That's what we had.
04. Can't remember.
Someone says, Adam, they still have Xbox Live.
I don't know what the hell they call it nowadays. I really don't. I really
Well, they have
don't.
the Xbox 360 and the Xbox One.
Back in the day, I think I was playing on an Xbox 3. No, the original Xbox,
Yeah.
and then the 360.
Yeah, the
Just
360.
imagine being younger playing Grand Theft Auto, just running over hookers and doing whatever. I'm
God
like,
bless
hey,
you, Jeff. Do you, man?
and sitting there thinking, man, this is messed up.
Oh God. Let's see.
Oh,
Let's see what other
gosh.
questions we have in the chat.
Adam, if the Lions win the North, will you shave your head? Why is Adam shaving
Why do I
everything?
have to shave my head?
Because you're an
I've
idiot
already
and you
bet-
choose to do
I've
stupid
already
things
bet
to yourself.
Jalen Hurts wins MVP. I'm putting this on the show.
Oh, boy.
Gonna have to shave my head.
If
Jalen Hurts
I'll
wins
make a
MVP,
deal. If
I'm
the
sh-
Lions
I'm sh-
win the NFC North, I will buzz my hair. I won't shave it. I will buzz it. I will go a full buzz.
Man, See what the morning show does? We put our
hair
you
on
know
the line.
what on the table and do these bets, all right?
You could just say hair. I think that's just as important.
Okay, but he's 0 for 2 on giving up his body.
Well, he did technically shave his chest. It just didn't look like BYU.
And did that, and then the Bears.
I shaved my beard last year, and I only kept a mustache.
The Bears, yeah.
That was not fun.
Well, yeah, so why are you doing these 0 and 2? You haven't won once.
Trying to win. Well,
Just like your bets, 0 and 2.
This would be a great loss because I would witness my first division title in my lifetime. So it's kind of worth it. All right. It's 10 o'clock.
That's it.
That's it for the show. Thank you guys so much for joining us this morning. Can't thank you enough. We will catch you tomorrow. Thursday Night Football, of course.
Yay.
We'll get into fantasy football. We'll get into a little conversation with a few people we'll have on the show. Special guests coming up tomorrow and Friday. We'll have Jay from Let's Talk Lions on Friday as well. Can't wait. So you all have a good rest of your day. We'll see you tomorrow. Make sure you check out Big D Energy at 11. Armani and Edwards at 2, and of course the heavyweights at 5 o'clock.
5 to 7.
Have a good day.
Go enjoy football. Nations League's back. How do you not?